Good afternoon and good evening, everybody, wherever you might be watching in the world, and welcome to the inaugural Motorsport Australia Simagic GT3 Cup, hosted by Octane Online Racing. Tonight begins 10 rounds of the most explosive racing you'll see on this channel, and our first time hosting an official Motorsport Australia esports series. My name is Samwise Holmes, and joining me in the booth for this exciting round of racing is real-life and sim racer Justin Tate, and the man behind the magic, the Royal Commander and Supreme Leader of Octane Online Racing himself, Neil Alexander. Justin, how are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm excited. What a hype intro. Thanks for the amazing words, and I'm so excited. Like, I'm grinning from ear to ear. I don't know if you can hear it through the microphone, but I'm struggling to speak normally because my face has just got a permanent smile attached to it at the moment. So
that's the kind of energy we want, man. That's the kind of energy we want. And Neil, you've put in a lot of work behind the scenes to make this one happen. How good does it feel that it is finally here and happening?
Well, Samwise, I've gone one step further. I've taken my clothes off. That was some top stuff. Oh, I can't wait. It's been a long time coming, but yes, we're here. We're ready to go.
It is only getting hotter from here. We are so excited. We've got 2 rounds tonight, 2 60-minute races. We've got, I believe it's 76 drivers who have entered this massive competition. 2 different splits, but they are all racing each other. It's going to be a good one.
Man, there's a lot of well-known names here, and I'm excited to see who can bring it out on top. It's the sprint series that happen every week here at OR is hot and running at the moment, and so a lot of people have recently just raced here, so it should be in everyone's mind, and we should be seeing the absolute best performances from a lot of the drivers here.
We've already got some epic times happening just in practice. So this will give you a bit of an idea for who's in real contention, but you don't know who's doing short runs, who's doing long runs right here, but this gives you a bit of an idea, the kind of times that we are looking at when we go into qualifying in just under a minute's time. Very exciting stuff. Some good races in this split. And for those who are tuning in, if you don't know the format for how we've split these sessions up, we will ultimately get to our Pro and Pro-Am rounds for the finals, but these 2 splits tonight are not separated in that way. So everyone has done their qualifying in order to get in. Not everybody who did the qualifying actually made it in.
Is that rain? Is that rain I'm saying? Oh my goodness.
Rain qualifying. So for those who qualified, everyone who is an odd number is in one split, and those who are an even number, roughly, that's how we've split it. So if you qualified 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, you're probably in this split right now. And if you qualified, if your top time during the qualification session, 2nd, 4th, 6th, 8th, etc., you'll be in the other round. So there are just as fast drivers later on tonight as we're seeing today.
Wow. So all that all the races that were dry this week didn't really matter. Although I think some of them had splashes of rain in their setup. So yeah, this really throws a spanner in the works, because not a lot of drivers going out and seriously practice hard in the rain, and where it's just the game becomes so different when it starts raining, especially on a track like Silverstone. So many spots you can lose the car.
And how important is it to practice in the rain, do you think, Justin?
It is very, very important, but you can get away. It's just, the thing is, when it rains is not as often as when it's dry. So you feel like you're kind of wasting your time, because, you'll spend 2-3 hours getting a good setup and feeling comfortable, maybe figuring out which corner you can drive what line. Because in the wet, sometimes the lines that you would use in the dry are not the right lines. In fact, quite often they're not the right lines. You learn which curbs you can go on, which curbs you can't, which bumps are bad, because a bump becomes even more dangerous when it's wet. And again, there's spots where you can and can't push that are the opposite in the dry to wet. So really, it's like kind of learning a new track again. All your braking markers go out the window, all your acceleration points go out the window. It's yeah, and then you've got the variation of the car that you're driving. Maybe your car's really good here in the dry, but maybe it's not so good in the wet.
What do you reckon the amount of time gained or lost is if for those who've actually done the laps in the rain? I mean, they've got a bit of time to practice now. I mean, it's a 15-minute qualifying session, so a bit of time to get your eye in. But, I mean, how much of an advantage do you reckon those who actually went out and did hard hours, how much of an advantage do you reckon they're going to have?
Probably. It depends on the driver. Some people are just naturally good at rain. They've done a lot of rain practice, and rain practice sort of adds up, if that makes sense. It's sort of, if you're someone that's regularly rain practice 2 or 3 hours every time there's a race that you're going to, you know, you might put 5 hours to 10 hours in getting your setup, getting your race car ready for this race meeting. And if you do a couple hours of rain practice, you know, over a whole year, you've done, you know, 100 hours of rain practice or something like that, where if you haven't been doing that, all of a sudden you've got maybe just a couple of times it rains, so you might have only done 5 or 10 hours of rain driving. So it's an accumulation thing, if that makes sense. Like, the people that practice in the rain are ready to go at any point when it rains. So it could be, there could be quite a few big gaps, and also when it rains, the margin for error is like so much smaller. So if you make a mistake, you're off. And if you in qualifying, if you drop completely off the track, that's it, time invalidated. So you might see some people completely out of position here. It tends to throw a spanner in the work. We say it, if you've ever watched, you know, live motorsport, when the rain comes out, there's always a couple of people that are way further down the pack than you'd expect, and a couple of people take advantage and go way up the field because maybe they put their bit of time or effort into getting their wet setup right, or even the car might perform a lot better in the rain than what it does in the dry.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I wonder other as well. You know, the laps getting invalidated early on. I wonder if that's going to matter as much, because I wonder if the track's going to come in quite a bit through this session. It looks like it is rain reducing, although that's in 30 minutes. No idea. It looks like in 10 minutes it'll still be just as heavy. But yeah, I wonder just how much this track will come in. So how important is it going to be to get to be last on track, to be the last one across the line, capitalize on a potential drier line that might start to form at least a little bit? You know, I wonder, you know, we're seeing times in here. What have we got? 207, 206. My suspicion is that we're going to probably get a couple of seconds quicker than that as that track starts to get a little bit drier on the racing line.
Yeah, and also you don't really have a good grasp in the wet until you hit the track. You know, you don't know if you've got your tire pressures right or if you've got your setup just perfect, because you might have a wet weather setup, but maybe it's, like you said, drying out a little bit. Maybe there's a bit of a dry line. Maybe the temperatures, because it can be wet and 20 degrees, but it can be wet and 5 degrees too. So it's you've still got to get all your tires in the right spot and those sorts of things, which generally in the wet, it takes a bit longer to warm up your tires, that sort of thing. So the second and third laps are what we're going to be looking at, is where drivers are getting good lap times, and being wet, we're getting really long lap times. So people are only probably going to get 2 shots at this, and probably 2 laps on each shot. So either I honestly think a few drivers might just fill up the car for the 15 minutes and go round and round and round, hoping that their setup's right. But we'll probably see some drivers try and split it into 2 separate sessions with the 15 minutes. But that's still only going to give them like 1 or 2 laps. Like 15, yeah, no, they're probably going to have to just go with 1 full session. I don't see anyone being able to get 2 laps on each set, because you got to do the out lap and the in lap and all that sort of stuff. Well, I mean, we're still doing the stop and press escape, right? We are able to do that still. Cool. Yep.
Yeah, I think we are. So what's that? It's about 6.5 minutes in order to go around and do 3 laps. So there definitely is the time to do that. And well, there's almost enough time to get in an extra lap. Probably not. So it's probably about 1 out lap, 2 flyers for each set if you do it that way. But you've got to sort of gamble How confident are you feeling? If you're well practiced, that's what you want to do, because when you go into the pits and you put on that fresh set, you're going to be in a better place than those who've been running on those tires for the last 8 minutes. But if you're not feeling confident, then rather than only having 4 potential flying laps, you're actually going to have, you know, whatever it's going to be, maybe 6 laps or so instead. In fact, I think you'll get at least 6. I think you get about 6 flyers out. If you just went out and you run on those tires, you'll get 6 flying laps out. So it really depends. If you're the person searching for the extra tenths and you are that confident, then you kind of want to be the one to go in, change your tires, and because you know you can set those times in fewer laps. And those who are really confident, for those who know that track is going to ramp up, look, we're already down to 2:04s. If you're the one who recognizes that, then you'll also recognize that you might want to put on the laps. You might want to put on the fresh tires right before the last lap, so you only have 1 flyer on that final set of tires, but it gives you the most opportunity to make the most of those tires because it's the later on in the session.
Yeah, as we've just had 3 drivers all go within a 10th at the top. So, Tan,
Gallo, Bruno
Tan,
Gallo?
Yeah, Gallo, and Pip.
Yep, Bakita's up there.
Bakita, those 3 within a 10th of each other in 3 separate cars in these marginal conditions. I think there's the few that are poking their head out above the rest in the wet so far. But again, like I said, this is probably their first little dash, and they'll probably all come in and pit, change their tyres, and go for another few laps at the end there. Like you mentioned, we'll see. Maybe the track's getting a little bit faster, but it appears everyone went faster on their 2nd or 3rd lap there. So, wow, as we're on board and lots of movement happening on this.
Yeah, a couple of drivers up the top who we've seen doing well in SRO recently as well. And Benjamin Hignett, who got his first win in the Sprint Series this week, up in P4. That's a really good showing there. Only 4 tenths behind those 3 at the top who are just looking really dominant right now. Dylan Tan, obviously an incredibly fast driver. Bruno Gallo also crossed the line in first this week at the sprint race at Silverstone, but had a pit speeding penalty from earlier in the race, so he didn't ultimately win it, but he did cross the line first. So we know that these are some mega fast drivers, and for everyone who's watched Octane Online Racing over the last few years, you'll know Bakita is always a big challenger. So it's very exciting to see a nice close battle up the front between those 3 at the moment. As Dylan Tan goes faster again with a 2:04.6.
Yeah. That's nice. Yeah, he put down another lap and said, I gotta go a bit quicker again. Obviously wasn't happy, but he's dived into the pits and he's going to try and get 1 more lap out, maybe 2 laps out. That's right, because once you cross the line, the timer doesn't stop. You get to finish that lap that you're on. So he'll get 2 more laps at the end of this if he gets out nice and quick and doesn't spend too long changing his setup.
Absolutely. So, very, very exciting. So we're currently having a look. That was not Colin Hind, Connor Hind, who just stopped on track. He's going to do the same thing by the looks of it. Go and put on some fresh rubber, get out there. 2 flying laps for those who do it. And the braver you are, the later you go. So it's going to be somewhere around those who are exiting the pits with, 4 minutes and 20 seconds left to go. They're going to be right on the cusp to be the last people over the line, which absolutely comes with an advantage. We can see this track is clearly getting faster as they go on. I reckon I wouldn't be surprised if we see low 203s, maybe even a high 202 by the end, depending on how quickly this ramps up.
Yeah, and we've got some drivers that maybe didn't get the cleanest run really improving here. We're 8 tenths up with Warwick. Still with a bit of the lap left to go as well. Over a second now. It's good to see the drivers really improving. That's a lot of movement at the rear there. Pushing very, very hard.
Yep, up nearly a second on the lap. So it's a good showing from Warwick in the number 82 car. So he's coming up onto the final straight now, looking pretty strong. 8 tenths up on his last time. That's going to chuck him up a couple of spots in the order. And you can see just how close these drivers are. Look how close the times are.
Yeah, it's getting really, really, really tight in that top 20. As I just want to point out for those that watched the F1 the other week, we're not using the same start-finish line. We're using the GT track one, and I believe they also do it with bikes and stuff on this straight for this main straight. So don't get too confused. That's why we weren't being wrong there and saying the start-finish lines. He's only got a couple of corners left when it looks like he was coming through turn 4. It's easy to get confused when you jump between Formula Racing and the GT Racing, but this is the final straight here.
This is looking like it's going to go pole, and it does. Mitch Hobbs with a 2:04.3. That's 0.3 faster than Dylan Tan. Now, remembering that they've gone in and put on fresh rubber, so we expect we're going to see Tan come over the line for the first of the flying laps sometime soon. No, actually, it won't be for another minute or so that we'll see that one because we know they're going to cross the line with only a little bit of time to go before qualifying hits 0, but they'll obviously get a whole other lap on top of that one. This is clearly, the track is getting better, so those who've all gone into the pits, we're actually going to get a bit of a delayed result here because they've all started their flying laps in the last 45 seconds. So which means in just under 2 minutes, we're going to see a whole round of people who are crossing the line on their second last flying lap. So we've got a bit of a wait on some of those results now, as we ride on board with Gallo, who's a 10th up.
Yeah, and we were just on board with Jamie, who jumped up 12 positions from 19th to 7th. So a couple of big movers here, getting their setup and laps much better towards the later half here. Was that Porsche really backs in? Looks like a motorbike coming in with the back just hanging out all the way into the corner. That was quite impressive. Oh, goodness.
There we go. 2/10 up for Tan. This is not his final lap, but he's only halfway through the lap. I thought for a second it was the F1 track, so we're not quite there. Is this the final corner? Yes, it is. This is the final corner here. So 4/10 up as he rounds the final corner. That is current provisional pole with a 2:04.2 from Tan, but he's still got another lap to run. It's not like Formula 1 where you need a recharge lap. He's just going for it again. So this will be his final lap. Still 30 seconds to go for people to cross the line to be allowed. And you can see on the track map, there is a whole lot of cars who are going to cross the line with 30 seconds to go. So we've still got another couple of minutes, about 2.5 minutes left of this qualifying session. And honestly, it's anyone's game up front right now.
Yeah, again, the margin between the top couple is less than a 10th, and Pip's improving, looking pretty spicy for a good time. Probably not quite enough to go pole, but definitely an improvement, and she's not going to get another lap, unfortunately, which she probably was relying on to get one more lap.
This is a potential 3rd place. If she can hold this time, so 3/10 up, it's looking pretty strong. So she'll jump Gallo at least, and Gallo is in the pit, so Gallo is not doing another lap. So this is for 3rd position on the grid.
Wow, she gained a lot of time through that last little bit, and it is 3rd though.
It is still 3rd, so Hobbs looks like he might have just held on to that 2nd position. Tan is going around for another lap, but there's nobody else currently out inside the top 6 who might challenge that. So unless somebody pulls something pretty spectacular out of the bag, we're not going to see any change to pole. We will wait to call it though. There are still plenty of people on their laps, and don't count anyone out because the track is ramping up. If you were the last one over the line, you do have a bit of advantage over those just ahead of you. Currently riding with Mags.
It looks like they're going on par to their delta. If you look at the top left corner, you can see the delta, just how far up the driver is. It's awesome about esports. You get the live delta, which is so good.
Yeah, that's right. You don't get that in any real racing, so you have to wait for your sector splits, whereas, yeah, we get to see in real time, are they gaining, are they losing per corner?
Everyone seems to be pretty close to their deltas.
Hamilton up quite a lot, though.
Oh, never mind. Yep, right as you said that.
There's 3/10 up, and there's quite a lot of positions to be had within 3/10, to be honest. That's he could that's if he gets 4/10, that's as high as P9 from P15. So this is fairly critical. Final corner here. He did lose it on the second last corner, so we'll see if he can hold anything over the line. Looks like he gained a bit on the exit. This is looking pretty strong. Over the line, 13th.
13.
And that is the end of qualifying.
Very spicy. That was good. What a session.
So first place on the grids, a pole position for Dylan Tan, and it was very, very close back to Mitch Hobbs. That was an epic run from Mitch Hobbs, who pips Pip at the line. Bakita in third place, Gallo in fourth. That's your first two rows of the grid for the first race of the Simagic GT3 Cup. So I wonder if anybody might get caught out by that when it starts. I mean, they can all see the radar. So if you saw a minute ago, you saw it saying rain at 10 minutes, and now it's not, then that means that there is basically anywhere from, what, 3 minutes away to 8 minutes away is rain incoming for anywhere from, 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah. And I don't know. Rain makes things spicy, and it's always exciting. The biggest thing it'll affect, if it's just a light drizzle, it'll be the track temperature and the rubber on the track too. So if your setup's really aggressive, it might make it a bit hard to drive. It's ends up making you have to go a little bit safer with your setups usually. But it can, if you're further back in the pack, you can be a bit aggressive and a bit risk-takey with your setup, and potentially gain an advantage, but sometimes it can bite you in the bum and you end up falling way further back than where you are.
Yeah, that's right. You've also got, now with this kind of setup, rain is one thing. We just saw everyone qualifying the rain. We know they're all capable in the rain, but this isn't like normally driving the rain, because you will be on dry tires. Not only on dry tires, you'll be on dry tires that are not pressured for wet racing, because most of the racing is going to be in the dry. So with your pressures dropping massively lower as soon as it's, because the track temp is going to be so much lower because of the rain, it's going to make it much sketchier than we just saw in qualifying. So they're going to have to be really tentative through that period, and for, there'll be a short period afterwards before the track starts drying up again as well, where they're going to have to be really careful and not throw it all away in the first 5 minutes of the race.
Yeah, it's the first race of a new series, so everyone's got to make sure that they, you want to survive. But sometimes this is the chance that people get a bit excited, so we might see some really brave moves as well, especially for those that maybe because of the rain feel like they've qualified out of position. Sometimes that can just put it in your head, I've got to make up 5 positions in turn 1 or nothing, like that sometimes gets in drivers' heads. I know that's definitely been the thought for me before when you qualify much further back than you think. You're just like, oh man, if there's any gap, I'm going for it. And it's it can be quite chaotic, but I'm sure these guys and girls will behave themselves as they're very showing how quick they are.
That. I know exactly what you're talking about. In the season that I humble brag won a couple of seasons ago, in my split, the first race was exactly that. It was my favorite track, and it was wet for qualifying. Qualified in P5, and then it's that sort of desperation of, I want to get to the front ASAP in the dry. And so yeah, you absolutely might have that for anyone who feels that they're out of position. Now, for the sake of everyone watching and myself, let's have a quick look at the front of the pack here. So so we have a bit of recognition ability on these cars. So Dylan Tan's in the Mercedes at the front, that lovely white Mercedes, and right behind, that's there in the red and black monstrosity of a Ferrari is Mitch Hobbs. Bakita's the BMW behind, so the white-ish BMW is Bakita. And then the Porsche, that very colorful Porsche, that's Bruno Gallo there. So there are front two rows. Now, we can't rule out Burst and Hignett behind, so the Nissan and the Ferrari behind that. They're your two yellows. So that's our third row of the two yellow cars. That's the Nissan and the Ferrari. But just so we've got that, so 10 is going to be on the right side of the grid. It's for the start of the race. On pole position in the Mercedes, and then and then we'll have a look at Hobbs will be next to him in that black and red Ferrari, Bakita behind the BMW. So yeah, that's a bit of setup. That's for my sake as much as everybody else watching, so that we all know what we're in for.
Yeah, I'm excited. Are we gonna do a quick mention of the Silver Series? The people with the silver next to their name.
Absolutely. We'll touch on base on that a little bit more in a minute, only because we're about to go around the final corner. So before the green light goes, I just want to say once again, welcome everybody. This is the Motorsport Australia Simagic GT3 Cup, hosted by Octane Online Racing. This is the first round of 4 knockouts, 6 final rounds after that. So we've got 10 rounds of epic action, which is about to start. Dylan Tan is on pole. That's the Mercedes you see at the front on the right. Mitch Hobbs beside him on the left. We are about to go green for the first race here at Silverstone. They're coming up towards the line now, and they are off. It looks like potential... That was a little bit of an odd start, so they've actually had to pull back. So Tan's actually pulled back because it looked like a bit of a jump start. There might have been something gone wrong there, but that looks like Bakita, who had almost jumped into the lead. Then you've got... So who's that up front right now? I'm actually completely lost. Is that 10 up the front?
Yeah.
10 away at the front in the Mercedes. Hobbs is behind. Hobbs definitely didn't go early, but I think 10 might have. So we're going to have to look back at that because I have no idea what's going on. But right now you've got that yellow Ferrari who's having a real good look right there at Gallo in the Porsche. And that is a really nice defensive line from Gallo there. Now we're just keeping an eye on that radar because remember the rain is coming. That Ferrari really wants an inside line down into these next 2 corners here. These are the final 2 corners of the F1 calendar on the F1 track. But remember, it's not for this one. This is halfway through our lap. Hobbs and Tan are just pulling away, but Hobbs is right in the slipstream there as well. This is a really interesting... I was completely thrown off from the start. It looked like there were definitely at least 2 cars that bolted off the line. So we're going to have a look at that. I'm sure Neil is preparing a replay for us any second now. But we are currently looking at the battle for first and second up front, and this one is for third and fourth. A bit of a bump to the Porsche, and that is Hignett and the Ferrari completely around. So he gave a bump to the Porsche in front of him, got a bump himself. We are still on a wild first lap. Woo.
Yeah.
How you feeling, Tate?
I'm just a bit flabbergasted on what's happening. There's confusion everywhere. Pip got a really bad start, ended up in 5th, but again, might have been just a bit confused. Maybe couldn't select a gear. Who knows what happened? But definitely a couple of drivers got miles ahead, and the rest of the field was caught lacking. And we'll see what actually happened and how it'll pan out. But man, there's been a couple of spots where drivers have been bottled up in corners like we just had there. The Porsche went a little bit slower into the corner than the Ferrari was expecting, and it caused a little chain reaction of nose-to-tail action, which happens all the time across all motorsport. If someone goes a little bit slower than everyone expecting, when you leave no room for error, you end up running into the person in front, and it happened 2 or 3 times in a row there, but it looks like nothing too bad came apart from it, other than the 2 people that ended up touching are a little bit further back, which I think Pip was actually one of those drivers.
Completely around and right at the back of the pack right now. I don't know if that means... I don't think she's entered the pit. She's genuinely in 25th position. We just saw there was a really good overtake up the front. Burrs, I believe it was Burrs doing a move on... I think it was Steele. That is 3 wide! we can't talk about past action because we need to talk about current action. This is for 20th position, so the battle is... Oh, this is... I believe we're looking at Bakita right now. So that's Bakita there in the white BMW. So that is going to be a really interesting one to look back on because remember, it's also a two-stop race. So there is definite opportunity, for example, to pit early so that you don't have all of the slower cars in front of you, pump out laps, and so you can try and undercut a bunch of people with the pits. The risk with that, of course, is what happens if it rains later in the race and you don't have as much flexibility as other cars do with their pit stops. So, but if you're in 24th position, but you're the third fastest on the grid from qualifying, you might just have to take that gamble.
Yeah, I mean, and Pip's going to be the one to watch this race now after qualifying, or being the fastest in practice and qualifying top 3, now in 23rd position, already up a couple of places from where she ended up after the little contact there. They're already miles faster than they were in qualifying as well. That's just how wet it was. So times will just continue to drop as fuel comes off the car. And yeah, she is going to be flying through the field, I expect. We've had it all. We've had 3 wide with 1 on the dirt. We've had cars bump into each other and spins happen. We've had cars launching off the start. We've had everything. We've had it all in one race, and it's only been not even 4 minutes into the first race of this series.
As things start to settle down, we'll inevitably see a replay soon of just what happened at the start there, because I'm not even entirely sure what happened right at the beginning. But you did mention right before the race started, we should let you know what's going on with the classes. Why is there a silver class member who is in first place? Did something go wrong with the qualifying setup? No, it didn't. Do you want to explain what our silver international class is for this round?
So, would Malik like to explain it, or should I explain it? What do you think, Mike? Oh, sorry, Neil. If he's not
Neil
there.
is MIA. No.
What do you think, Neil? Yeah,
that was a brief but exact explanation of what it is.
Very good. All right, so
it does a little bit, yeah. So it's not Asia Pacific as we normally separate classes into for our sprint series. It is if you are outside of Australia, because this is a Motorsport Australia round series. So it does mean we've got that separation. So there's officially 3 classes when we which will be determined as we go on. You've got pro class. There will be a pro-am class for the finals. So top 30 will be in the pro class finals. The next 30 are going to be we'll have 30 more in the pro-am finals. And then we've got our international one as well. So looks like we're about to have a look at the start and see what happens. So who was it that ran away?
Yeah.
So Tan goes and Bakita floors it too. So Tan's the one there in the Mercedes that is gone. Bakita's gone with him. But I think Bakita now slows up, which is sort of what throws her back into the carnage, I suspect. So Tan is our current race leader, so let's keep that in mind. There, whether or not there'll be a lighter penalty for Bakita for redressing and probably putting herself in a much more difficult position there, we'll defer to the stewards for that. But I suspect Tan is going to get the bigger wallop.
As we've got a driver just going across the grass to avoid all that action as well. He just was like, nope, I'm going straight. I wasn't quite sure who that was, but they saw the bottling up on the inside and just went, nah, I'm going across this corner here.
It's always rough. That turn 1 there's so much space. So there's so much space for people to just be, there can be 4 wide, coming to Maggots and Beckett's, and now this battle here. This battle here is doing good for Hobbs up front.
Yeah, I was going to say, Hamilton's actually up. What was it? P13 came across the line right at the end, and up into 8th. That's a good shout out. These up 5 positions in 5 laps or so. So that's always what you want to see.
Ah, yes, my mistake. Don't you remember Kyle Army a year and a half ago, 2 years ago? that was a pretty excessive one, but I do remember there was some Kyle Army race in the night where they were completely gone. I wonder if they just thought they got a really amazing start. But see, the thing is, there can be issues with the game. I mean, I don't know whether... Yeah, I mean, we can't say for sure what's happening on Tan's end, but sometimes there are issues with the lights in games. You just don't know, but... yeah, the stewards will have to determine what they determine, but clearly the rest of the grid didn't have that, and Tan did. So, yeah, a really interesting one.
I'm an F1 pro, mate. I know all about it. I know sitting there on the grid and watching everyone take off while I've still got a red light, and then it goes out on my screen and I get rear-ended and it ends the race.
Excellent.
But I've had it all. I think this game's generally a lot better for that sort of thing. There might be ping difference too for those that are international as well. So there could be that, but I mean that was definitely not ping. That's the packet to be have to go playing from the moon. Yeah, just driver it. He got to the start finish line and he took off. That's what he did. Yeah. Probably, yeah. Yeah, there's
I
a lot
agree.
of battles happening there, and she's quick enough to pass 15 people in this pit stop. I think if she just goes hard for this whole pit stop.
Very true.
It may not be as efficient, but she's got the pace just to be 5/10 faster, even with 20 liters of fuel on board extra or something. So.
Without a question. Yeah. Now, we're just... I'm just having a look. Now, we're riding on board with Hamilton, who's really battling hard with Hignett, which is excellent. But we've got a comment saying Neil is talking, but we can't hear. So it's possible that you're not coming through. I'll leave that with you to have a look at, Neil. But I wanted to have a quick look at the timings up front, because Hobbs is now just fallen a bit behind Tan. The strategy for Hobbs here would be to not fight Tan too much, stay with him, keep that slipstream, because we know that some kind of penalty is coming for Tan. So Hobbs is currently in the box seat, so he is provisional first place pending what happens in the steward's room. So he wants to get as far ahead of from Gallo and Hind as possible. Go with Tan, don't fight him, but go with him. Let him take that slipstream and try and pull forward. So it's really interesting what's happening up front, because they are not that far apart from each other as well. So there's good battle brewing. Hignett
gets a penalty for a lap one incident. Oh, as he flies off the track as well. right as we jump on board. He's not going to lose too much time, but it's going to be really hard to come back on the track here. He's going to let a couple of cars go past.
He's done well there.
That was actually quite safe there. I think that was nice. It could have been a lot scarier, so he decided, you know what, I've come off the track, I'm going to lose a couple of spots, and then jump straight back in where I can.
Yeah, it looks like two spots that he's lost there. Two or three? Two spots that he's lost in total, but yeah, he's come back on safely, so he did a nice tentative run back onto track, and now he's off and going again, so
just land straight.
No advantage.
Can you hear me now, chat? Can you hear me now? Please say yes.
Neil's calling out. Can you guys hear?
I have to recap everything that I've said in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah. It's all good. This wasn't much important anyway, Neil. Yeah, they hear you.
So would they not have heard anything you've said?
Nah, so I was just talking about the jump start. I'm not sure if Tan had the widget or not. Maybe they went when it said race initialized. But yeah, no doubt the stewards will take a look at that. And unfortunately for Paquita, she's obviously gone at the same time as Tan, just as a natural reaction. But as I said as well, she's in the pits. She's served one stop. Just keep going. Because as you said as well, Justin, she'll gain 10, 11 spots just through this pit stop alone at the back.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't see her having a horrible race. I still see her potentially finishing top 10, although that little nose to tail action she got caught in the middle there was a bit unfortunate. Like, that was just a racing checkup, and I don't even know if any penalties are being handed out from that, unless she copped a bit of an extra whack that we didn't catch, which is why she dropped further back, because she was on the tail end of that nose to tail, so she might have completely spun after running into someone, or got an extra bit of help as well. But yeah,
that's right.
Unfortunately, thrown her way back in the mix of things.
She did do the right thing after jump starting the line. Neil, if you just have a look at comments, a couple of comments just about the sound that might just need a little bit of adjustment. But yeah, unfortunately, Bakita did start on third on the grid, and because Tan has jumped away, Philippa has followed Tan off the line. So I don't think the same issue has happened for Philippa. I think she's just seen that Dylan is gone with him, and then seen what's happened, and she's braked, she's eased off, and she's not just redressed, but she's lost a bunch of positions, put her way back into the battle pack, and ultimately everything came a cropper later on in the lap. So that was a really unfortunate start for Bakita, but she has pit. Now, there are 2 pit stops in this race, everybody. In case you didn't hear before, 2 pit stops. So Philippa has taken her first now, but we still have a whole other round of pit stops to go.
Yeah, and Hobbs is absolutely flying here, right on the back of Tan. I wonder if Tan readdressed later on, because Tan was gone, and I don't think he's that, the pace he was showing was pretty darn fast. So I'd like to think maybe he did get readdressed, or maybe the stewards, we don't really know because we're not behind the scenes, but maybe the stewards asked him to just back yourself back up to Hobbs. Maybe he did that, maybe he didn't, I'm not sure. We'll see, we'll find out.
My suspicion with that was so we'll have to wait and see. I suspect a penalty will be coming regardless, because you just don't know what that start would have held. They were side by side on the line. You don't know how good of a start Hobbsy was going to get, and whether or not he'd actually be ahead right now. So I suspect we'll see something, but we'll leave that to the stewards. But there'll be something coming the way for Dylan Tan, no doubt. Unfortunately for him, but Hobbs is showing great pace. They are pulling away from the pack. 2 seconds from Hobbs back to Connor Hind. So it's looking very strong right now for Hobbs. He is in the box seat, as we say. So in that car number 97, taking the Van Gisbergen number. It is a lucky number. Did you watch the NASCAR?
Oh, I sure did. Yeah, that was impressive. Yeah, it was good. And then he came back and flopped the next race back in Australia, but never mind.
That's true. I know what an excellent race. I got up to watch it. I had no idea it was going to be that crazy. But I was almost jumping out of my seat. We were actually in the office at work, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, guys, nobody cared because they had no idea who Shane Van Gisbergen was. But I'm there like desperately telling everyone with 5 laps to go that, no, this is really crazy. He's in second position and he might get it. So
yeah, it's always good. We love seeing Aussies going overseas in any sport and any motorsport, and dominating the fields and showing them how it's really done, is what I like to say. Because we can kind of rub it in other people's faces. So
we've got a good rap. We've got a good rap overseas in actually quite a lot of sports. We're fairly versatile in the things we're good at. Honestly, like there's not many big international sports that we don't partake in, that we don't do all right at. And many that we do sort of exceptionally well at for a country with actually a relatively small population compared to some. So yeah, I think we've definitely got some good eggs in the motorsport department, showing off what we can do. We've got 2 Aussies racing in F1 right now at the same time as of this weekend. Which I think we've had 2 Aussies before, have we? At the same time? I think we had Ricardo at the same time as
Weber.
As Weber, yep. Who's now managing Piastri.
Yeah, and Piastri's he was like an absolute no-brainer to be in F1, because he literally every single open wheeler series he jumped in, he won. He was so much quicker than everyone else in the junior categories.
Well, I mean, same with Nick de Vries, but look what's happened to him. I mean, he's a world champion in Formula E. He won Formula 2 as well, and he dominated those series. So it's, I mean, it's a bit of a shame, isn't it? It's like we love to see Daniel Ricciardo getting put up there, but you got to feel for De Vries. Did you see he put out a statement about it? 28. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he was a
literally
shoe-in for that podium. And it was
Exactly.
such a shame that that safety car came out.
He got motorsported. That's what that was. That's motorsported.
But P4 still epic, and it's the big story for this weekend is, you know, how's McLaren going to fare now? It's a bit of an exciting one. It's not the race we're watching now, but it's, well, there'll be a practice later tonight, I suspect.
Apparently, Mel's on mute again. I don't know if he's
Is he?
He must have a button.
I wonder if they're, I wonder if they're just gaslighting you now, just to annoy you. They
Mal's
didn't
not
hear
gonna
that, so
talk.
now they
Yeah.
just think you're ignoring them.
Mal says he's not going to talk. He doesn't like you anymore. Well,
Yeah.
it's just T-Mac's fault. We blame T-Mac.
Yeah, and he did have some contributions. They weren't very valuable, so we won't repeat them. And
Oh, good.
all right, so what are we looking at right now? Somebody said Leo closing JN on this battle. I don't know what that means, Lounge Room Sim Racer, but I appreciate the effort. Oh, there we go, Leo Dryer. There we go. There we go. Oh, okay. On Jay Morgan. Is this a? Oh, he's closing in. Is that right?
I'd say so.
It's not an
Yeah.
epic battle. It's not the most epic battle that we probably could be watching, but
That Porsche's looking squirrely out the rear.
actually, you know what? I take it back. He's getting close, and he's getting close fast. So
Ooh,
here we go.
yeah.
First round of pit stops for Mitch Hobbs, coming in from second position. I wonder. So what do you think? You've got. It's always touch and go when it comes to the undercut and the overcut.
Oh.
With these cars. That's a little bit of damage for the 42 Porsche.
10-second penalty for jump at the start. There we go.
10-second penalty for
And
Paquita.
pit 10 seconds as well. Okay.
That's
So-
10 seconds for both. So even though Pip redressed completely,
And
it's-
also left later. I was like, oh, surprised it got the same, but that's fine.
oh well, it is what it is, right? It's the same penalty for the same action, and yep, good sportsmanship to redress, of course. But ultimately, it hasn't made a difference in the steward's room. So is what it is there. I'm sure Philippa will take that into stride. She'll have to serve that at the next pit stop, at her final pit stop. She's currently running in 21st position, but look at that, 11th down to 18th, all but one are in the pits. So we'll see just how much Philippa can jump up during this round of stops. If she can get maybe somewhere closer to the top 15 during this
Chat-
round.
Chat is letting us know that Morgan is the pit lane board destroyer and did it in their split as well. In split yellow. They're like, is that the split lane? It done it again tonight. So obviously loves coming in super hot, super late into the pits.
I mean, it's not a bad tactic. Like, without that pit marker, I mean, it's horrible for everyone else. It's like, I used to, race in some public lobbies where you'd always see somebody who's going into, like, Bathurst, for example. They'll just run off at the chase intentionally to take out the marker boards before the line, before we come across for the start line, just to screw with people.
We are starting to see some stop go 30s come through, which is track limits, I believe.
No, it's pit speeding.
No? Oh, it's pit speeding. So
It's
they
that
will be
board.
addressed.
Whoever took that board out, you watch these penalties
Yep.
roll in.
So it's
This
a
is-
tactic.
yeah.
Split yellow
The
all over
tactic is
again.
working. So what will the penalty end up being?
10
Will it
seconds.
be 10 seconds. Okay, so 10 seconds for speeding into the pit lane. I guess
Yep.
they'll have a more egregious one if it's ridiculous. But yeah, so taking out
Justin.
that pit board, yes.
Just to cut you off just for a second,
Yes.
because we're seeing Hobbs come around. This is the battle for the lead.
Oh,
10
yes.
is in the pits. The Hobbs is coming around the final corner. I'm so sorry for cutting you off there, but we want to
2
watch. We can
seconds,
see
Justin.
Tan in the pits in camera 2.
Yeah,
So
so
go for it,
this
Justin.
this actually might be, yeah, this is going to be really, really close here, actually. I was thinking, it's not going to be that close, but cold tires versus hot tires, so 1 lap extra of running, this is where you get aggressive, right? So the hot lap, the hot tires last lap has given a little bit of gap here, but now he's got to warm up his tires and not get caught at the same time. This is the important part for the window too. You can damage your tires and not your out lap by going too hard, slide the car around, and start graining really early. But it looks like that's actually not too dangerous right now. But again, this is where you can make mistakes. Yeah, both cars running right to the limits of the track there.
But remember, Tan has got that 10-second penalty, so
right.
Hobbs does not want to slow himself down. He actually wants to either run with Tan or get past him really efficiently, because right now, Tan is not his race. His race is that Porsche in the distance, Gallo behind. That's the race. And possibly, who's in first right now? Is that Connor Hind? Up in first in... I think it is, yeah. Currently in first place. So Hind, who was battling with Gallo. So we'll have to take a look at how that shakes out. But Hobbs is looking very, very strong right now.
Yeah, and where I predicted Pip would come out, P15, right on P15. There it is. So
excellent.
there's still 1 or 2 more people to pit though in front. Either I might have said 15 places one though. So I was a little bit off by that.
An outside move. God. So this is Hignett trying it on the outside of Morgan in the Porsche. So that was a good attempted move. Remember, we saw Hignett off the track not long ago, completely spearing across the track after Cops. So, oh no, Cops. It was the other F1 turn 1. What's F1 turn 1 called again?
Turn 1. I'm an old racing car driver that just shows turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4. Like, you know, because they changed the name of it. Because if you cap the name of it, then it just changes 3 years later, and you're just like, oh, Honda corner. I mean, MG corner. I mean,
wait, isn't the name of the corner the only thing that is consistent? Because turn 1 obviously is different for this one and F1. So turn 1 is less logical, right? Because that changes. Maggots and Beckett's is always Maggots and Beckett's. Like,
yeah, but they often name them after sponsors and stuff like that. So that's the hard bit. And then you know, it took me forever to call the Dunlop series and the supercars the Dunlop series.
Yes.
It was, you know, it just keeps changing time and time again.
What was it? The Fujitsu series.
Yeah,
it was Super 2.
Yeah, Super 2s now or something. So
Super 2 now, I think. And yeah, but it was Dunlop series for a while. What was it? What was the original name?
I think it was the Fujitsu
series and then Dunlop series, and yeah, that's that's always the way. So, and the corner, it was Abbey. That's the corner I was trying to. Okay. No, wait, is it? Yes, Abbey. That's what I was looking at. Not important. What is important is the battle that we're watching. So it was Hignett trying his luck, who went wide through Abbey, which is this corner right here, and went spearing off the track there. So he is right on the back of Morgan. Morgan, who does not defend, stays nicely in front. A nice tighter line. So Morgan actually braked deep just to avoid any issue from like a dive or something like that. But it meant that Hignett got a much better run there. So the Porsche is not known for being the best in a straight line.
Yeah, we just realized we've just had Tan do the fastest lap again. So Tan's pushing hard now, probably trying to make up for that 10-second penalty. But again,
yeah, but he's got a fast-paced Mitch Hobbs behind, so it's not doing much for him, is it?
So Hobbs is probably, you know, within a few hundredths of that lap time as well. That last lap, I'd say.
Yeah, just set his PB as well. That last lap, 57.652.
Oh, close.
Yeah, 57.560 was Tan.
Yeah, so they're within half a tenth of each other, as we've had a few more people pit as well. So they're slowly getting back to where they should be on the charts. It's surprising we've had people go for nearly 30 minutes on this first set of tires. That's a big long stint.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. You don't need to go quite that long. They might be banking on there being some weather, and obviously if the weather does come, especially if it's looking like it'll stop during the race, that's where you get the benefit. But right now, the 20-minute mark doesn't say any weather, so I would say that risk is gone. But of course, if there is, you know, like a a bit of weather in the race, then you want to use your 2 pit stops to 1, put on the wet rubber, and then 2 to get it going again later. So that's the kind of thing that you don't have the flexibility to do if you pit early, like Bakita did. But that you might want to keep in the back of your mind, at least for the first 20 minutes or so. But right now, yeah, I'd say if you're on an old set of tires, you're probably better off coming into the pits around now, because you've still got 2 stops to make. So
yeah, and I wonder who will serve their penalties and who won't, because there's always a little bit of a strategy in, especially with Tan there. If he serves his penalty, it puts him back in the pack, and then he's got a couple of cars he's got to pass. Does he just sit out the front and crank out fast lap times and potentially only lose 1 spot, rather than, you know, serving his penalty, then getting put into some pack, and then maybe getting into some more drama like what happened to Pip when she tried to redress. Boys, we've got a little battle happening here. Big side-by-side action. And both drivers showing a lot of respect, though. They got very close and then widened that gap up quite a bit.
yeah, that was Hignett, who was chasing before, who's got ahead, but he's staying on the racing line. He wants to go around the outside. This is Max v. Lewis all over again. Didn't end with as much drama. Stays on the track in the Ferrari. That's good around the outside. He's got the legs to keep the Porsche at bay as they come into Maggots and Beckett's. The Porsche is going to have to give, and slots in behind. And that might be all she wrote for the Ferrari. We know that Ferrari had some really good legs behind the Porsche, so whether or not the Porsche can do anything about it, we'll just have to wait and see it at the end of this straight. The Porsche is good in the slipstream, so for where it's terrible in a straight line, it does have good slipstream capacity. So
Getting quite close, yeah. And
a better line too.
Oh, someone's off. Who was that?
Beaten in 27th position.
Lap down. So not quite as important as this battle, but man, this is it's good little racing by these two. Oh, using all the track and some, kicking up a bit of dust. Wow, what an exit though. That's an interesting line. I wonder if they got a little bit of a warning there, but wow, that pulled out like 4 or 5 car lengths just from that little bit of curb hopping.
Yeah, well, absolutely. So now we can't see whether they're on any, whether anyone's got track limit warnings, but of course that is something to be keeping an eye on, because there are some danger zones for track limits. Turn 1 is one of them. It's probably the big one, to be honest, at this track. Turn 1 is the spot where you want to avoid going wide too much, especially in a long race like this one.
And Hobbs sets the fastest lap.
There you go. So now we were talking before about the strategy for Tan. So there's a 10-second penalty for him to take into account. I was thinking potentially what he might want to do is see if they can pull out 10 seconds on the cars in 3rd and 4th, and then pit so that he's only behind Hobbs. So you don't know really, or he doesn't know how much of Hobbs' pace is coming from the slipstream effect behind Tan. So maybe if he gets in behind Hobbs, it's something that he can, he can start to rein back that gap in and potentially still be in with a shot for the lead. But they probably have to get, he'd probably want to get 10 seconds ahead of Gallo first before considering something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're about 6 seconds now.
It very much could be that this extra pace is coming from the slipstream effects. It could be just dragging them along. But again, if he has to pass 2 or 3 cars or 4 cars, that'll slow him down and probably won't be worth it. So
yep.
He probably is best just pumping away, doing as fast as he can. He's got nice, clean track. No one's, there's just barely anyone that's looking like they're going to be lapped, so there's not going to be any traffic or potential for traffic that's coming anytime soon. But again, we're still sort of 5 to 10 minutes to start seeing, before we'll start to see some people pitting. Pip will probably be one of the first people we'll see pit, unless someone's done a horrible big slide on their tyres and wants to get rid of those. That might be the only time we see someone else pit a little bit earlier than the 20-minute left mark.
Yeah, I suspect you're probably right. Now, Jack D in the comments asked, what's the top number of drivers that go through in this knockout? And the answer is that in the finals, there will be 2 rounds of 30 drivers in the finals. So we will see a number of cars get dropped before the finals. So there'll be 30 cars in the Pro finals provisionally and 30 cars in the Pro-Am finals. So that is where it currently stands. And you'll have to wait and hear more from the man himself at Octane Online Racing, Neil Malik Alexander. He'll have some more information for everyone on that as we go on. But for right now, the objective is race as well as you can, because you are not guaranteed a position in those finals. As we go and have a look at the battle for third position. So this is a nice little battle happening here between Jamie Koza and Bruno Gallo. So that is... Am I looking at the right one?
Yeah, that's right. That is
That's
correct.
right.
That's what we've got there. As they're coming
Keep an eye on
onto-
that gap. So
Yeah.
at this stage, they're getting further back from Tan and Hobbs, but when Tan goes to do his final stop and serve that 10-second penalty, which I reckon he will, he might be right there amongst them for that P2 position.
So he really wants to get 10 seconds ahead before he goes in for that pit stop. So we'll definitely keep an eye as close as we can on that gap, which is currently sitting somewhere around 7 seconds. We'll have to see. We'll see when they come across the line next time in a minute just how big that is. That looks like 6.5 seconds back to Gallo from Hobbs. So about 7 seconds, 7.1 seconds, because I think we've got our leader back, do we? We've got Tan. Is Tan in the official lead?
Tan's there. We're just looking a bit further down the list so he doesn't show up on top.
Yep. There we go. So all right. So it is 7.1 seconds currently back to Gallo. So that has gone up a couple seconds the last few laps.
That's a stonking lap.
That's very
Wow.
quick.
A mid-race 57.0. That's challenging qualifying time.
Might be
Well,
a fourth entry here for this P2.
Yeah. He's
of course,
catching.
it's challenging qualifying times. They were in the wet, but it's challenging the times we saw. I don't think we saw anybody in the 56s in the practice before. So this is a heavy fuel, race stint time. So that is very, very fast. To put in perspective, Hobbs has the next fastest lap, and it's 14 slower than that.
Yeah, this is really, really fast from behind here.
Now, I'm not sure if you guys saw on Wednesday, but Connor was in the lead for the majority of the race. It got spicy towards the end. There's about a 3-4 car battle. He got a drive through on the third last corner as leading the race, and ended up finishing, I'm not sure, probably 9th or 10th, but I think this is a redemption drive here from Connor.
Well, he's clearly got the pace for it, so if he was running in first, I mean, it just shows you the level of this competition, that a driver who was running first in a competitive split earlier this week is currently in 5th, but obviously he's giving us some good action now, chasing through the field. We're currently on board with Gallo, so this is looking back onto Koza behind. So what a battle is happening here. This is only helping Tan up the front. So the more they battle, the further away Tan gets. It's nearly 8 seconds now. So is he going to defend? No defense. Coming around the final corner.
I think it's a little bit early to defend at the moment as he's coming into the pits. I was going to say, I wonder if that he's actually carrying any damage from that nose-to-tail action we had in that lap 1. Because he copped a whole lot of rear-ending and gently got nudged from behind. So I wonder if some of that little bit of lack of pace and maybe the tyres going off was due to that. But we are on board again with Connor, who has closed this gap really quickly. I wonder how quickly he can get past Koza, or whether Koza's been released free now. Maybe Gallo might have been holding Koza up a little bit, but we'll see that over the next lap or so. Both these drivers pushing really hard. Connor taking a beautiful line in there. Look at the cars both just moving around. I love watching onboard footage of the front runners really just dancing the car around. Very smooth on the wheel. Very nice driving here.
Absolutely. So now it's 8.5 seconds back to Koza. Now, it's not as good for Tan that Gallo has pit so early, but I will point out that even though Gallo has gone into the pits and he was 7.5 seconds behind Tan. So Not quite the 10 seconds that Tan wants. But Tan's last stop was 4 seconds faster than Gallo. So, 3 seconds faster. So Gallo, from pit entry to pit out, Gallo did it in 1 minute 7 and Tan did it in 1 minute 4. So there's actually time to be gained in the pits if you can do a really fast pit stop. So Tan's #1 goal right now is going to be able to take that penalty and get out and still be in P2. And it is still a very close battle to determine that. So looking at what the time was for Gallo's stop this time, it was a 107 last time. The fast one is about 104 flat, and he did a 104.5. So it was a pretty quick pit stop for Gallo, which is bad news for Tan, and that is likely going to put Tan in with that battle with Gallo and Cosa.
Yeah, we'll see. Pip didn't actually serve her penalty, so I think unless you got another 10-second penalty.
No, it's the same one.
Yeah,
Same.
I was going to say. I was hoping it wasn't. So we'll see where she ends up. I mean, it's hard to tell because she's pitted early. Do you have to change tyres each stop? Is that what a mandatory stop requires? Or is it just you have to hit your pit box and put some fuel in it? I wonder if anyone...
Tire change, but actually, you know what? I don't know, so don't quote me on that one.
Yes, it's tyres.
There
Okay,
we go. So yes, you have to do tires. Yep. So that is confirmed. So Bakita is, I would say that, well, she is second of the people who've done all of their pits. So Gallo is first of those who've done all their pit stops. Bakita is second. So, but she's got that 10-second penalty, as you rightly pointed out. Hind is currently in the pits, so we'll see where Connor Hind comes out with regards to Gallo. So that is an interesting one to follow. Remember, Hind set the fastest lap of the race and was right on the backside of the battle happening up ahead between Cosa and Gallo. So we'll see where Hind comes out there. Clearly, he was setting some good pace.
He's miles ahead.
Is he out?
Yeah, by a long way. Oh, no, it's adjusting. Back.
Okay, so Hind did a slow stop. It was 108, so he was actually 4 seconds slower than Gallo's stop. So I suspect he will be, yeah, there he is. He's in behind. So unfortunately, a slow stop honestly makes a difference. We got Hobbs into the pits. So this is it's interesting that Hobbs is going to pit early because it actually puts him at risk of being in the pack. And yeah, he's far enough out in front that he probably doesn't want to have too much traffic right now. So, but he is currently in a really good position. This is an epic battle happening right here. This is Gallo trying to overtake. It's not a back marker. It is 4th position. But Gallo obviously has done all of his pit stops. Slade has, Slade in the Lambo? That one is McNeil in the Lambo has not yet pit. So it is for position. The same thing I'm talking about with Hobbs. They're not back markers. You have to go around them and you will lose time doing that. Fortunately, potentially for, because we are looking at the battle between Tan and Gallo, and Cosa, of course, but Gallo was held up a little bit. So we'll see what that does for Tan's potential, we're waiting to see whether Tan comes out in 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. Any of them are possible. Fastest man in qualifying, so it's going to be a very interesting one if he does come out behind.
These are laps that count. He has to go hard. Has to go really, really hard, really, really smooth here.
Well, I'm happy to tell you that he did a 57.4 on the last lap, so he was by a mile the fastest on track. So he is absolutely gunning it right now.
That was crazy, getting passed by Hobbs, right? Yes. So Cosa dropping.
Cosa has just pit, so this is us about to see. So this is Cosa coming out in his rightful position behind Gallo. So back to resume that battle. Look out! He is absolutely gunning it now. Maybe a little pressure adjustment, something like that, to see what you can optimize for these last 20 minutes of the race.
Yeah, and the track temperature's, sitting at 24. I don't think it's changed too much over the course of the race. I think it did start off a bit cooler though, if I remember right. But it's a good day for racing. If you like your motorsport, that's a nice temperature, nothing too crazy hot. Well, as we've got Tan in the pit. So will he serve that penalty? Will we see that disappear? And Hamilton's in the pit as well.
I'll keep an eye on it. So he's currently 40 seconds into his pit stop. So we'll see. So as we were saying, he's got to do a fast one. So 104 is your optimum pit stop time. Whereas if he takes the penalty, it'll be around the 114. If he can do a quick one, he'll be in with a good shot of coming out ahead, because he did put in some mega fast laps on the lead-in. He didn't set a fast lap on the last one because he.
Yep, there he goes. Wow, but
he did do a quick first.
Definitely served it. He is so far behind right now.
It's only been, so we'll see what the counter ends up at. 114 is going to be a good mark. 114.1 is what he did. So he did a mega fast stop, and he's come out on track. Is he ahead?
No, he's miles behind.
He's behind. How far behind?
Oh, but like at least a corner.
Oh, a corner. Okay, well, I couldn't see them. I'm like, hang on, how far behind is he? So those laps he put in right before the restart have not done excellent for him. But this is going to create a really exciting finale for us. Why does it look like he's miles behind? Am I seeing something wrong here?
Not everyone has pitted. So
oh no, he's ahead.
He's ahead of a couple of the one.
No, he's ahead of Gallo. That's what we were looking at. There they are. We see them in the background. So yes. Tan, he has done the job. In fact, he's a couple of seconds ahead. So we were watching the gap between.
He hasn't served his penalty though.
He hasn't served his penalty.
There's a slow
stop.
He's miles behind Hobbs though. No,
so that stop time that I told you, that 114, that was just a really, really slow stop. So he actually had he actually was 10 seconds slower than his first stop as far as like time that he stayed in the pits. So he actually just did a mega slow stop, and he didn't serve the penalty. So that's why he's only 3 seconds in front.
Okay, so but Tan's lost a spot to Hobbs though.
Hobbs. Yeah, because he spent so long in the pits.
Yeah, that's why I thought he served it. Like he's 7 seconds behind Hobbs now.
Well, it looked perfect. It was exactly 10 seconds slower than his last stop. So I'm sort of shocked that he didn't that he hadn't served it. So clearly he had a really bad entry to his box, or a really slow. I mean, that's really the only thing it could kind of be. Yeah, one of those things. So he's probably like missed the box or something, had to adjust, or I mean, that's all speculation, but 10 seconds is a lot of time to lose.
Well, that means all the way back to 5th or 6th might even have a chance at jumping ahead now. So there'll be a few more drivers snapping at the heels of trying to get up a position now.
So hang on, what's this? Is Burrs? It says Burrs is ahead of Hobbs.
Ignore ACC chart.
No, okay.
You just gotta wait. You gotta wait for a few sectors because he's nowhere near.
All right.
He's ninth.
All right.
But
so
I just want to
Hobbs
confirm that Bakita actually picked up a speeding in the pit lane penalty. That's what the second 10 seconds for. So when it rains, it pours.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a very Pip thing to happen.
That is very rough. So it's only the first round, though. There are 4 rounds of this knockout part of the series. So there is still plenty of opportunity to pull your way back up. Now, Malik, you can probably answer this question. Neil, do points in this part of the series count towards finals, or all resets from round 1 of finals?
In the finals. This
so
is just
all
to get
she
you
needs
into
to
the
do.
right split.
Got it. So all she needs to do is be in the top group of cars to make it into finals. Sort of like Formula 1, Q1, Q2. You just need to be in the window. You need to be in the right position, but ultimately it doesn't count to your final, to the final points tally. So
it's all good practice and preparation. And I've just heard that Tan's 10-second penalty is also a pit lane speeding penalty.
There you go.
So
he had another one.
Yeah.
So he served his 10, picked up a 10, race resumes.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense. I was thinking it's a pretty big effort to go 10 seconds slower than the average on a pit stop. So
that's a stall and then not realizing you stalled and then starting. I've done it before. I've done it.
Have you ever I've overshot and then
Had to
you turned off
reverse?
the engine. Yes, and then you go, ah, shit, because you have to wait a few seconds, and then you realize it didn't go up, and then you have to turn it back on, and then reverse, and then you've gone too far back, so you... yeah, it's happened to me. Not for a while, but it has.
Yeah, it's wow. So this is a race full of controversial controversy. That is, there's so many cars that are in odd positions or out of position due to penalties or speeding in pit lane and that sort of stuff. Obviously, the strategy of Morgan's strategy of taking out that pitboard marker worked.
But you know what? That is a really good point, because that actually might have absolutely had a reason, had a part to play in what happened to those guys. Because there's a bunch more people with 10-second penalties. I wonder if any of those are also pit lane speeding. It could have been a genius. Can we call it the Morgan?
Yeah, possibly.
To destroy the pit marker is officially a Morgan. To do a Morgan.
Yeah, I have to admit, I have been guilty of taking out braking markers for people that like to use a particular braking marker, not in real life, but in video games, of course. Yeah, you're just like, oh, I'll just run a little bit wide here in this
you're that
F1
guy.
lobby. Yeah, especially in F1, because they love having them everywhere. But to be honest, that game is kind of cheating, because you can just run with racing lines on. You can brake off
True.
those.
Of course, but also most of their markers are up on the wall for F1.
Yeah, on some of the tracks they are. On the street circuits they all are, but a lot of tracks like this, they have them all nice and pretty along the edges. On the way in here, you'll just run hard left here and go donk, 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 and then drive back on.
Clearly, I haven't raced enough F1, although I am doing it a lot more now, so that's a lot more F1 than ACC at the moment. Why is that relevant? It's not. Back to racing. So we are on board with somebody I can't tell. It must be Hind, because the color, the color which shows who we're on board with does not show if it's the person with the fastest lap. So Hind, who has the fastest lap, is also the person we're on board with. He's currently chasing down Koza, and he's potentially going to go for a move into Stowe. I think it's Stowe. That's a part guess.
At the end of the hangar straight. That's what I'll say.
Hey, you knew a name of something on the track. Good for you.
I do, yeah.
That was,
most
and it was
iconic
Stowe.
straights in the whole world.
Yeah, that's right.
It takes me a lot for that.
And that was Vale. And that was Stowe, rather. Daniel Joseph says, any idea what's the fastest lap? As a matter of fact, I do. It is a 1:57.0. Now, just so you know, Hobbs just did a 1:57.1 on that last lap. So it is still being challenged for at the moment, that fastest lap. So 1:57.012, so really close to a 56. And it's Connor Hind who's got it at the moment. So now this is a great battle right here. This is going to be this is our battle for effective second position.
Yes.
With Hind's with Tan's penalty rather. He's only 4 seconds ahead. Tan is, so he's gunning it. But if these guys get into too much strife, that'll be excellent for Dylan Tan.
Yeah, Tan's only real hope is that they start battling, and when you start battling, you start losing seconds per corner or per section. So that's about the only hope he's got for keeping that second place. And again, it might happen though, because Connor seems to be a lot faster than the two in front of him, as we've got a big dive up the inside here.
Excellent. That was a good one. So he is one step closer. Hang on, is that the right? Wait, are we looking at the...
No, we're looking a bit further back. 19th, that was.
Yeah, okay, I was thinking, hang on, I thought that was Hind making a move, but it was not. So that's just me being confused. So Curley makes a bold move on McLean. Yeah, McLean.
Yeah, awkward.
Yep.
That's one of the things.
Like I said, we don't know the liveries yet. We will soon. We're getting there. As we get through the series, we will. But look at that for Mitch Hobbs. He's keeping it clean, keeping it very, very fast.
Wow, 10 seconds stop go. That's a big slap on the wrist.
Oh, Colin Warwick with a 10-second stop and go penalty. That's a big one, because I mean, I just said how long. So the pit stops normally take 1 minute 4 if you're doing a 30-second pit stop. So that is a 44-second hit to get a 10-second stop and go penalty, and that's a mega penalty.
Yeah, that means you've been very, very naughty, and it was an unsafe re-entry, which is you just can't have those in. I think that means it probably ended someone's race, unfortunately too. It's you just gotta be really careful when you leave the track. You know, just spend half a second, look at your mini map, make sure no one's coming, and then come back on when it's safe. Okay, that's
absolutely.
That's what that's for.
All right, there are 4 laps left to go. There's 6 minutes 30 on the clock. So that's somebody exiting the pits by the looks of it. So we're currently on board with Hind. They don't get in the way, which is good, because this is the battle for second position. So are they? I don't think. Oh, that is a big snap behind. He is back on the track, but he has lost at least a little bit of time there to Koza ahead. That is going to give much needed relief to Koza, who is trying to chase down Gallo. That was a scary moment.
Oh yeah, that part of the track, Maggots and Beckett's. That is a very, very big moment there. Big slide, great catch. Oh, there's someone having a spin here. Oh, that's the car that we had on the inside, was it?
It might be. That we thought was leaving the pit, but they weren't.
Oh, is this unsafe redress? Maybe, I don't know.
We will.
No, that's not unsafe. No, that's fine.
Oh, and we are, and we're live.
That's all good.
All right. Back into the battle comes Connor Hind. Look, he's only 1 second back, so he absolutely can still become a part of this battle, as we've got a back marker who is in the way for Hind, not the other two, so this might slow down Hind a little. Are they going to let up to let him past? Maybe is the answer.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it, but Hind was 1 second behind.
Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah, he's still around. He's all right. We won a good battle.
Yeah, sometimes when you're actually in these scenarios, you hope that the back marker doesn't get out of the way too early and actually can do something like maybe give you a tow down the next straight or something. You know, like sometimes it actually works in your advantage, rather than hoping that, like, you know, rather than them holding you up in a corner, it's like, hey, if you're going to hold me up a little bit, at least let me go a couple of Ks now fast down this next straight for me. Hey.
Yeah, exactly. So PJ says these 2-stop races are basically 3 extended quali runs. Absolutely. It's the pace is absolutely insane. Tan just did a 57.3 on that last lap. It plays a 58.3 from Gallo. I don't think there's enough laps left for him to get to the 10 seconds, but he is pushing like no one's business. So he really wants, if Gallo and Koza start battling hard, and Koza is close. Koza is closer on this lap. So this could be a challenge into Stowe, and this is exactly what Tan is looking for to try and edge out that gap to 10 seconds.
Yeah, and that you'll notice the Ferrari takes a really narrow entry into Stowe there, where the Porsche likes to stay out wide, taking much wider entrances into each corner. They've got completely different driving styles in these two cars, and you'll just notice, like, it looks like the Porsche is going to miss the corner in comparison to where the Ferrari's driving. So just totally different setups / driving styles combining into 2 different ways to go around the corner at the same pace. But yeah, I'm expecting to see the Ferrari just nipping up the inside right in the last second into one of these braking zones at some point, as Connor's caught right up again. It's like Connor hadn't left now. This is looking really close.
Yep, as PJ says, he's getting Koza and Koza to Gallo, and Connor is just behind them. You know what? I actually do appreciate it. So, thanks, JP. I think
Father's Day. That's all I can think of when someone makes like multiple dad jokes in a row.
No, I'm all here for the stupid puns. Give us more, chat. So, all right, I believe we've got 2 laps left. This is the penultimate lap. So, chat, tell us, is there going to be a change of position here for second? or is it going to finish Gallo, Koza, Hind? What do you think? Let us know. PJ says, I have a child, so I'm allowed, by the way.
Yes.
There you go, Justin.
Like I said, it's a happy Father's Day today. Again, just a reminder that you are a father. Definitely. You can only be that good at dad jokes when you are a father.
Defense from Gallo. Koza was close enough there.
Wow.
Really good. So Gallo has had to defend that one, and that actually brought Hind even closer behind them. And this is an epic battle. We're only halfway through the penultimate lap, but this is already probably helping out Tan a little bit. That gap is edged out to 6.5 seconds. So he needs to, and Tan is putting in more epic laps, 57.5 on that last lap. He's nearly a second faster a lap than everyone else behind. So actually shout out to Death and Hamilton, who just put in mid 57s themselves, further back in the pack in 8th and 9th. So, and there we go. Mitch Hobbs, there's his card for in the car 97, representing Visceral Esports. So bit of a shout out to Hobbs.
Yeah, so we've got these player cards, driver cards, driver licenses, little stats, little get to know them, so you get to see their face. Unlike real life, we can't do face-to-face interviews afterwards and that sort of thing. So it's cool just to let you know who they are, who they race for, how old they are, you know, what they like, what their favorite movie is, that sort of stuff. No, it's,
Absolutely.
It's just good to see that we're going to have a bit more info so you can get to know and become fans of some of your favorite drivers in this series.
For sure. So we are currently on the final lap. This will be the last lap. So currently making his way down the hangar straight is our leader in the 97 car. But all eyes right now are on the battle for what is ultimately going to be second position. Currently showing third, fourth, and fifth on the board. Gallo, Koza, and Hind. This is probably the furthest apart they have been for 20 laps now. So there's actually a little bit of breathing room.
I was going to say, that is wide. We've got a little...
Yeah. So I don't know if we'll show a replay.
No, we're still live. We're still live.
We're live now. So they are fairly separated. Camera 2 is currently showing our leader as he is going through. Oh, he's doing a huge slide actually for the leader. But this is our close battle. It looks like that might be all she wrote, but definitely having a big go is Connor Hind. A big dive. We might even see a big dive right here up the inside. Oh, no, he won't. But they are still 3 abreast. So we've got 2 corners left to run for Mitch Hobbs. But there is a big battle brewing just behind. So this is completely crazy. But Mitch Hobbs is going to do it. He comes around the final bend. He has put up an excellent fight against Tan. Tan got the penalty, but Mitch Hobbs didn't even need that anyway. He got ahead, flashed his lights across the line, and he wins the very first race of the Simagic GT3 Cup for Octane Online Racing. As we jump back to see what happens with, there we go. So Gallo puts up a gallant effort to get himself into what will be second position. Koza will be finishing on the podium, and I believe Hind will be fourth. Tan, by the looks of it, will come back home in fifth after getting that penalty. And so then we'll have sixth will be Burst. And then Hamilton looks like he's going to come across seventh for Hamilton, putting in some epic fast laps at the end there. Death in eighth, Tafik in ninth, and Bakita, although with a 10-second penalty that will be served post-race, comes home on track in 10th position after being last at the end of the first lap. And that is not a big accident. That is a bunch of cars celebrating.
Yeah. Typical. Everyone doing donuts at the end. Love it. Or they... Yeah, this is good. So here's Mitch Hobbs.
What a great run for Mitch Hobbs. He is absolutely wicked fast now. First started in 2019 doing the sim racing. I've raced against him a bunch of times. He's a clean, excellent driver, and he's just gotten faster and faster. So absolute props for winning in a pretty epic field of cars, to be honest. That was a really, really good run for Mitch.
Yeah, and
Great to
fitting
see.
that he races with a Simagic wheel as well, leading, starting off with a win in the Simagic GT3 Cup.
That's right. I mean, that's actually really good to see. That's pretty good promotion for Simagic. If you don't know, Simagic do excellent wheels and pedals for sim racing. So check them out. They are the sponsors for the GT3 Cup, this inaugural GT3 Cup. So it is an official Motorsport Australia race, the first of its kind by Octane Online Racing, and I believe it is the first for Motorsport Australia on ACC. So big privilege to be for Octane Online Racing to be hosting that one. As we look at the final leaderboard for the race, Hobbs in first, Gallo and Kosa, they are our podium. So very, very excellent work. Fastest lap for Connor Hind. Tan ultimately in fifth. Burrs, Hamilton, Death to Fig, Bakita finish off the top 10. But we do have multiple classes here. So the first in our international class is
Tan.
not done there.
Yeah, Tan is definitely the winner for that. Tan, who was
of course
so quick.
And Death, who was also really fast. Death was doing a mid 57s at the end there. So there's some, pretty awesome times happening down the pack. And Tafiq rounds out the podium for the international class for this round.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where Pip will end up, or whether Pip's penalty actually has it been applied yet? No, it says 10 seconds more there. So
yeah, it's applied. That's applied. So
that is applied?
That's applied.
Yep.
Wow, so she stays in 10th. That's a really good recovery drive, considering she got a 10-second, two 10-second penalties and had a nose-to-tail incident where she got pushed off the track. Fantastic recovery.
So we're still in practice at the moment for the second run. Sweet has, I think, had put in... Oh, no, yeah, so Ryan Houlihan has just jumped him. So 57... 5 for both of them. So is the kind of pace that we're looking at in free practice. But don't go anywhere. Qualifying up next.
Green light, go, go, go.
Feel like we need out. Hello again, everyone! For those who are still with us, thank you for staying with us. It means a lot. For those who are now just joining us, whether you were racing before, you've just woken up, or you're tuning in for some great racing, be sure it is going to be great, because we are still on the first night of the inaugural Motorsport Australia Simagic GT3 Cup, hosted by Octane Online Racing. We just had some epic racing in the first rounds, and we are about to start the second. Remember, they are both all challenging for the same position, so they're not separate splits. We are going to be determining the fastest drivers from these 4 knockout rounds to go through to the final 6 rounds. So the finals will be 6 rounds, and the top drivers from both will be joined together. We'll have 1 pro split, 1 pro-am split, and tonight is the opening night. So welcome to opening night for the Simagic GT3 Cup from OOR. So this is our first time hosting an official Motorsport Australia Esports series. So this is a big deal for us. A big thank you to Simagic for being the sponsor for this as well. My name is Samwise Holmes. Thank you for coming and joining us tonight. In the booth as well, we'll hear from a little bit later on. We've got Justin Tate, real life and sim racer, and we've also got Neil Alexander, the man behind the magic himself, leader of Octane Online Racing, so who will be here to give us a couple shout outs as well. But right now we are straight into qualifying. This is the second round for tonight. So now, just because it's the second round does not mean it's the slower round. So so we had all of the drivers, they had a qualifying window they had to qualify in. The drivers who got first, third, fifth, seventh, all of the odd numbers, they were put into one split. So they race against each other. The drivers who got second, fourth, sixth, eighth, 10th, etc., all of the even numbers, they are the ones who will be in this split here. So you don't have the top 30 in the first split, second 30 in the split. No, it is not that. There are 76 drivers overall, separated across the two splits. And so this is half of them here. So you have just as fast drivers in this split as you had in the last one. The last one had the likes of Tan and Bakita and Hobbs and Gallo. In this one, we've got some epic fast drivers here as well. We saw at the top of the lines, at the top of the charts before, Ryan Houlihan and Corey Sweet. Those are two epically fast runners. And we've got a couple other names that we've all seen many times as well, including a bit of a shout out to Mike Crick, who's actually racing here. That intro that you saw, the Simagic GT3 Cup intro, was actually created by Mike. So big shout out to him for that work. Wishing him the best and everyone else in this qualifying session here. We're 4 minutes in, so the first laps are about to be set. Probably in about 15 seconds, we're going to see the first times pop up. We'll see. So it's Ali Kai Rudin, who he is going to lead everybody across the line to set the first lap. Fastest lap is a 57.7. That's just provisional because he's already been pipped at the line. So we are going to see a lot faster times. We had a wet qualifying before. This one is going to be a dry qualifying. By the looks of it,
Is that that's the same themed the same themed skin as, or what do you call it?
As
it's
the
a thin paint job as the Porsche.
It
Right?
does. There might be there. Well, this I think it's Laundry House Racing. So I believe they are a team. So it is Laundry House Racing. This one's Terry Rayton. So we saw Bruno Gallo in a similar livery. I believe it was Bruno Gallo for the last one. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. But also, welcome, Justin.
Yes, thank you. I'm excited.
I did give you a good intro, but you.
Yeah,
you,
no, I heard it. I heard it. Obviously,
okay.
I was here the whole time. I told you I'd make it. I just had to drain, had to, drop the kids off the pool or whatever you want to call it. I wasn't that, but yeah.
Excellent.
Man, I was going to say, Crick. I actually really, when we were looking at Crick's livery, that was quite a very on theme Nissan. I think it was a Nissan. Right? Or the GTR. Is that what's he driving?
Crick's driving the Nissan. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like it's a very on-theme Nissan paint scheme he's got going on there. I like that quite a lot. I like it when I'm like, oh, that looks like the race car that I've seen before, or very similar to. That was quite nice. So yeah.
All right, so welcome chat. We've got a couple of new faces. Jan Tully, as always. I bet that means we must have a Gibbo in the race tonight. Is that right? Actually, Callum Gibbons, there we are in the Ferrari, is racing tonight. So when one comes, the other follows. Welcome, Jan Tully. This is going to be a great night of racing. So let's have a look who's on top of the leaderboard right now. Kai Rudin's jumped up there with a 57.2. That is a very, very good lap. Houlihan with a 57.4 behind him. Then can't see right now, but we'll take a look soon. 8 minutes left of qualifying.
Yeah, and we're going to see the first, well, there we go, jump straight up into 5th position for Laundry House Racing. And yeah, we're just, again, second laps round. Generally, that second lap is generally that little bit quicker. Can't quite get the tyres right up to speed. Wow, look at how close everyone is in the dry. We have less than 5/10 all the way back to 9th position.
And look at up the front, not even a 10th between them. So Ali Kairudan currently rocking the top spot. And then you've got Denis Shrelinknikov, who is in 2nd position. And I can't believe I got that right, but I think I did. So I do want some props for that. Please give them...
I'm sorry, look at this split. Look at how much the
Yeah.
the
The
number
first split,
77 is.
you had Tan, you had Bakita, you had Hobbs, Kosa, Gallo. Had all the names. Rushmutt's missing tonight. Then you go over to this split and look at that. It's going to be epic finals once that rocks around.
We are very, very excited. And, I mean...
We're going into 6s here, by the way. We're going into the 56s. Look at this.
Oh, for sure. Nearly half a second up is Kairudan on his own time. Can he hold it through the final corners is the question. He's up 4.5 tenths. Oh,
that's
this is
Dennis,
actually,
mate.
Yeah, I was going to say this is Dennis.
Who's this? Well, all right, okay. Well, let's get particular about which car it is now.
You're willing
the
on
international drivers are showing up tonight, that's for sure.
Across the line, he's going to get it too. So there it is, Shrelinknikov with a 56.8, and that is a well-deserved slide, except don't get in someone's way.
Yeah.
And
disqualified. No, I'm joking.
I think he cheered as he went across the line and lost control. Took his hands off the wheel.
Sang, who, and now just a reminder, so you'll see the silver class drivers. Now this is nearly 4 tenths up, and there's only 8 tenths between the whole top 10, so that has the potential to jump up quite a lot. Now Sang is one of our international class drivers. That is what the silver class represents. That doesn't mean that they are less quick. It is not a separation of pace. It's actually just a separation of location because this is a Motorsport Australia official race. So those who are in the international class, being that they're outside of Australia, those are the ones in the silver category. That's 3rd place. That is a good run.
Yeah. Chris says he's super quick. Sang just absolutely zoomed, raced plenty of times against that man, and he's very hard to keep up with. And he just seems to keep getting faster and faster as well.
Well, that's what practice does, right?
Yeah. And
a couple tenths up for Ryan as well.
Yeah, he'll be hoping to get a few more up, but again, we'll stay on board. He's just such a good driver. This man, I got introduced to him when I raced at Japan. What's the Japanese track again? Suzuka, yes. And he did his video on how to go fast around there, and it was like a screaming commentary of going around doing the fastest lap. It was amazing.
Yeah.
If you've seen that video, you know exactly what it is. It was quite cool. It's in the very early days of ACZ.
3 tenths. He's actually challenging for 2nd position right now. 4 tenths, is it?
Yep.
As he's coming around that final corner, that is going to be good enough for 2nd place. So Ryan Houlihan jumps up into 2nd place, 2 tenths behind our current provisional pole setter with a 56.8. I think that might have been the fastest time. Did we see 56s in the first split? I'm actually not. Oh no, of course we didn't. They didn't do it. They were in the. They were in the wet.
If we did, there'd be question marks.
We did see 7 flats though in the race. So
true.
To be honest, that was very, very quick. Again, though, being a realistic sim, the track is going to vary server to server and time to time. The weather is probably quite a bit different in this one. The racing track we had seemed to be very quick that we had, but we'll see what these guys and girls do in their race. And man, I just like look at how close it is in the dry here. It was interesting to see the wet weather. We had those 3 guys and girls out the front of the last field that were very close, and in this one, it's just like everyone here from like third back is so close together. It's crazy. They're
And the
so
times
close
are
together.
insane, and especially if you take into account that up front, obviously we've got now a couple of outliers, with that 56.8 right at the front. But if you look from, Kai Rudin and Sang are there 3 tenths behind that, but back from that, a second behind them is 20th position. From third position back to 20th is 1 second. That is very, very close.
Oh, it's ridiculous, and the facts like I'm just looking at each tenth of a second is like 4 or 5 positions. So improve a tenth, you just up another 4 or 5 positions, just about anywhere in the field at the moment. So this is very, very tight, and everyone's obviously been working hard on their setups and practice. And man, everyone seems to be improving. Look at those. Look how close that is to that middle. Like, this is ridiculous. So Gibbs is going to move up here. Let's see how much.
1/10. What's it gonna? Oh, maybe not even.
And no, I didn't move up. Might have just dripped off the track there, possibly. No.
Doesn't need much to move up a couple of spots though.
Wow, it's crazy close.
No, that is a very familiar livery. I think we can be sure that Herbert is on probably the same team as Hobbs in that case. In Visceral Esports, we do know that because we saw the driver's license for Hobbs.
And bang into 4th place.
Oh, going wide potentially in the Audi there.
3rd place.
Goes Morella, maybe.
Wow. This is... Yeah, they're all so close. What are they? How are they just spreading in between each other?
Corey
battle for
Sweet
seconds
gunning
on.
it. Absolutely is. So, and we're only 1.5 tenths for Kai Rudin back as well. So now remember, we've got people who've pit. They've put on fresh rubber, and so they're currently doing their second last laps. And so remember, if you cross the line before it hits 0, you do get another lap. So we've still got a lot of qualifying left to happen. Is that somebody off track?
I think it was, yeah. Just for a little... Oh, yes. On the entrance of... Oh, which turn is that?
So
Yeah.
this is the yeah.
The,
That's right. I think they were just going back to pits, but that will be the end of their qualifying. It looks like Kai Rudin and Shrolinknikov are both in the pits. That is it. They have set their times. It is now up to Sweet and Houlihan and Herbert and Sang, who are all still going to get another lap. See if they can challenge for pole position for this round.
yeah, there's... Like, everyone's improving bit by bit, but I can't believe the number 77, just how much they are ahead considering how close everyone else is. Although, again, pretty much anyone we follow here that's up a couple of tenths is going to be moving up anywhere between... Yeah, this is looking really
Spinazzi
clean.
coming around. Now that is looking really strong. That's going to be a bunch of positions there.
Bang.
P7.
okay.
They don't get another lap. This is it. And when
lose
they
it
cross
now.
the line, that's it.
P7.
Oh, yeah, P7. Cook.
Oh.
Oh, when Ethan Carl is P12, you know you're in a quick split.
Yeah. Wow, this is intense. I just can't believe how close they are.
Oh, look at this. Good run out of there. What have we got for Ethan Cale from 12th?
No, it's the wrong side.
No, it's not. Oh, we're still
That's the
halfway through
F1
lap.
finish, Sam was.
That's okay.
All right, so
gonna
nobody's
get
crossing
done.
the line for another like 15 seconds. All right, we'll just wait patiently.
Yeah.
All right, what do you guys have for dinner today?
Bonsoys. This is
Talk
what I
about
had.
this livery. This livery. That's really
Oh.
unique.
That's bonsai.
He loves
That's actually hilarious. All right, so car number, what's that one? 67 coming across the line now. Whether or not they're going to gain, I don't know. But everyone's on Valor laps, so this is it. This is going to be our last rush to see who can gain what. So this is 3/10 up for real. Now that has the potential to put him inside the top 10.
It's really
So-
fast.
Ah,
Sorry, I had to do a JP.
Oh dear.
Oh,
This is
just outside the 10.
Okay.
oh, just
Didn't quite get us
outside.
enough.
Kale improves.
Kale does improve to 9th. And have we got any improvers behind? Everyone's crossing the line all at once now. They're all bunched up. So Rishuti comes across the line. He is back on his delta, so that'll be 17th position. And that's all she wrote, folks. Who is she? I don't know, but she wrote it. It is Shalinknikov on pole position with an epic 156.8, which he set early in the session, and nobody could top it. A 10th and a half behind was Kai Rudin. Sweet, Houlihan, Herbert, and Sang. That's our top 6. That's our first 3 rows. Really great qualifying from everybody here. It looks like a dry race.
It's very similar conditions to what we had in the previous race. It was 18 degrees and 24 track. It's 19 degrees and 25 here. So 1 degree different from the previous race. So it should be a pretty familiar race. 0 kilometers an hour wind as well. So very unlikely that rain will appear. When you don't have rain, it tends to not blow in new weather, but you never know. It's the UK.
So if it's a familiar race, then Shalinknikov and Sweet are gonna jump start and and get 10-second penalties apiece. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that-
Yeah, well, again, we've got a overseas driver leading us away as well. So it is
Again?
very, very deja vu.
Oh.
Although the mixture of cars is a lot more in the front here. We did have a BMW and a Porsche in the front 3.
Yep.
We didn't have a Lambo this far up, and then we had a wall of Ferraris. So,
3
oh
Ferraris
wait,
in
hang
the
on.
top-
here we
in
go.
the top
Never mind.
5.
Never mind. Sorry,
Not-
we're
not
looking
as
further
spread
back.
out,
Great.
but-
I'm yeah.
You know, you've
I'm
got
a bit
Kale and
further.
Morella there, you know, taking some interesting, well, not interesting, but, you know, there's some different, you know, you don't see a lot of Lambos and Audis, honestly, anymore when you've got free choice. So, I love to see it. We love to see it. So, is that a Simagic brand? Are they all Simagic branded, or is it just the Porsche, Kai Rudin, who's rocking the Simagic livery?
The logos are mandatory, so that they can have their own livery. They just have to have the certain logos on there.
Oh, excellent. Well, you know what? It looks great anyway. So, right, so let's have a look at who we've got. So, going outside the cars, and we're going to go down. So, we've got Shalinknikov, that's them on the left. Kai Rudin on the right. Sweet in the silver Ferrari. And then next to that, there's Houlihan on the right there. Herbert in the left, similar to the car we saw Mitch Hobbs in. And then Sang, Cook on the left. Spinazzi on the right. The Lamborghini there of Kale. Then you got Terry Rayton, Morella in the Audi. I can't keep up with this rubbish.
Oh,
Real.
don't stop
Yeah.
trying to.
Taylor. Well,
Oh, I don't know. I'm trying. Look,
Now do
there's
it
a
this
pretty
quick.
car. And then, it's yeah, Morella, Real, Hal, Taylor, Brown, Gibbons, Raschuti, Johnson, Cooley, Piper, Young, Malpal, Beachtold. I can't.
some
I can't.
nice liveries. There are some nice liveries.
If
in
anyone
this
can do
business.
it, Sam Morris, it's you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know what? They are some good liveries. And all the way back to the back of the grid where that is Giuseppe Ricci.
What's happened? Oh yeah, they're all gone. I was like, is there one missing at the back of there, or they just rolled forwards?
No, they're all on their way now. So just like last race, same as with this one, we'll have a quick look at these liveries so we're familiar as the race begins. So in the silver Ferrari right at the front with an epic pole time, Denis Shalinknikov, and then we've got Kai Rudin
In that yellow and
behind
black.
in the yellow. That's right. So that's our front row right there. Yellow versus silver, Ferrari versus Porsche. And then, but absolutely do not at all think that Sweet and Houlihan behind are not going to be right in that battle. They were the fastest we saw in the practice session. Not that that means anything, but that means that they are fast. And by the times we know they are fast, especially because everyone was only what 3/10 apart,
No,
something like that.
it was too close. Put it that way. It was, yeah. One,
All right, a
one
bit of racing
small-
happening.
Yeah, one small mistake happened. And
Yeah.
Who's leading?
Shalinknikov.
Strelnikov.
Trill.
Strel.
This is what
Strelnikov.
you
Strelnikov.
told me.
You're
how to
adding about
pronounce it.
300 letters. It's Strelnikov.
Oh,
Strelnikov.
Look, you know what? You sounded it out for me, and I wrote it down, and I
Strelnikov.
tried my best. I tried.
Dennis the Menace or Strelnikov?
Dennis
Dennis
is.
the
I'm gonna
Menace.
say Dennis from now
Oh,
on.
I didn't mean to call him Dennis the Menace because he's done nothing wrong. Okay, just to
we'll save that
recap,
one for later.
Strelnikov
Strelnikov.
during the week was leading a sprint race for about 10 seconds. He didn't have enough fuel to get to where the rain was, so he had to change tyres
no.
twice. So he's going to be very... He'd be like on a hind here. He's on a mission.
Absolutely. All right. So, what are our liveries like for third and fourth? So, that's Kai Rudin there. So, third is. Are they in a team? Is that the same? That's not the same livery as the front Ferrari, is it? The Corey Sweet's in the 32? No, they're similar. In the grey and green. If it's grey and green, then it's Corey Sweet, and then Houlihan is the. What's that? That's the McLaren there. That actually a really nice livery. The black and green. Is it? Nope. I'm definitely looking at the wrong. Yeah, I'm definitely looking at the wrong one.
The ABR.
Oh, it is on the other side. It's got the black and green. So this side's got the. What is it? AVR. Alpha Venturi Racing, of course. All right. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Ah, I'm glad to hear it. So here we go. This is the second race of round one. Octane Online Racing is hosting the Motorsport Australia Simagic GT3 Cup. We have got, I'm not even going to try it, Dennis on the right at the front. Kai Rudin in, that's their Porsche there, in the yellow Porsche on the, well, it's now the right. In second position, they're coming up towards the line. We are about to start the second race of the evening. 60 minutes, 2 pit stops. They're coming towards the line. It's green, and here we go. The Ferrari pulls across to the racing line. They got a great start there. Looks like Corey Sweet has jumped into second, but that is unfortunately Kai Rudin in the Porsche, who nearly went off, but he's actually come back in around 10th position. The two Ferraris are completely off. Houlihan just holds on to third position there, so that's a 1 position gain for Houlihan. But it looks like we got a couple positions gained for Sang, who's in front of Herbert. Who is in the same car as Hobbs. I've forgotten the name of the team for now. But we've got a drag race up the straight between a Ferrari and a Porsche, but the Porsche is winning. So good work to them. Has the inside of Stowe, but the Ferrari tries to hold it on the outside. Just doesn't quite have it, so I wonder if the Porsche is going to defend or not, because that Ferrari is definitely going to have a dive. It does have a dive. Does it get up there? He has to pull it up tight. The Porsche is still on the inside, and it's going to keep the position, but it's beckoning somebody to have a Lewis Hamilton moment behind. So they're still side by side. This is an epic racing going on between, this is Spinazzi and, no, not Morella. Who's that in the Porsche? Is it Brayton? Nope.
Oh, dear.
Oh,
That's
side by side again.
Kai Rudin right in behind this battle as well, trying to make up for the positions he's lost at the start after an unfortunate little tap, setting him off. So, big bottleneck here as two drivers really hold up the rest of the field. Kai Rudin trying to take advantage of this, although losing all momentum, having to drive a tight line on those cold tyres. Man, this has been a scrappy start to the race.
Rudin back in 13th position after starting on the front row. So that is a really, really disappointing start for Kai Rudin. He definitely was the worst off, but luckily he didn't get fed completely into the wall. So he is good, and he is good to keep racing. We are going to see some epic stuff from Kai Rudin. I am sure of it as they overtake. What have we got? A slow-moving Ferrari back there.
Just redress position.
Redress the position. And Kai Rudin's off, and he loses 1, and he's going to lose 2. So that is not a good first lap for Kai Rudin.
That is redress the redress. What was going on? Those two just both went too deep. They chased each other into turn 1 there. That's really common to do when two people are battling. They wait for the other person to brake, and both of them ended up going too wide there.
And that's Anlong. I'm just going to say Anlong. That is great around the outside holding, but unfortunately not quite enough. Are we going to see a dive? I reckon we'll see a dive. You know what? I was disappointed.
Yeah, usually the Porsche used to be like killer underbrake. That used to be the only thing that was good about it. So used to just send it up the inside and back it in sideways. Oh no,
More
we've got
side by
Irene going
side.
further back. This is what happens when the pack's so close. Is you make one small mistake and people are just all over you trying to give it a pass.
Oh, good around the outside move. Held it.
Yeah.
You know what? The Porsche's definitely stronger in a straight line than I am giving it credit for. I'm sure. I mean, I know it's had some updates recently, but yeah, God, it's definitely not as succumbing to pressure on the straights as I thought it would. If anything, it's really holding its own.
Yeah, maybe it could also be.
Oh, that's deep for Houlihan. So that's on Sweet in the. No, that's not. I'm definitely looking at the wrong people.
Yeah, we've just changed.
Oh, that is
no.
unfortunately they've come together.
Oh, good catch,
They're
good catch.
mostly okay. So that is rated in the Ferrari that we saw there, and battling with, I don't know, someone.
I think it was that with Cook? I think that was Cook potentially.
Cook behind. So I don't know if who is at fault or if anyone or whether that is going to be looked at by the stewards. They got back on in relatively good speed, so yeah, we'll wait and see if something comes up for that. If we see a penalty on either of their names, especially a small one, then we'll know what that's from.
I'd call that a racing incident. That was just two people trying to go in the same corner. They both had a little slide and they both ended off a little bit worse, and it didn't really look like it was anyone in particular's fault. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, racing's racing there, I think. So let bygones be bygones.
Unless, yeah, we'll definitely. I agree, but we don't make the decisions, unfortunately. I wish we did. I actually don't. I actually don't envy the job the stewards have. So, big shout out to the stewards for the work that they do, because it is not easy. There are a lot of incidents to review and a lot of nuance when it comes to the different issues that can come up in incidents that arise on track. So shout out to the steward team.
Yeah, so we can, in the distance there, you can see Kai Rudin all over the back of Real, right in front of him. He's had to look up the inside too. So again, Kai Rudin at fairly out of position here, being one of the quickest cars in the field, buried back in this pack and trying to get back up to where he thinks he should be.
Yep, so now Houlihan's just done the fastest lap of the race with a 57.2, so that is very much matching what we saw from the other split. In fact, it's faster than any times we saw this stage in the split. The fastest we saw there was a 57.0 later in the race. But there we go, 57.3. So the 57.2 must have been an invalidated lap, so it's not officially recorded. It was just showing up on pit wall for Houlihan. So Dennis got himself the fastest lap. I'm too nervous to try the name. Let me try it. Strelnikov.
Perfect.
Excellent. Look, I'm just worried, okay?
It's okay.
Thanks.
It's all good. I'm Mr. Dyslexia myself, so I never come around and try and read people's names for the first time, and especially with these international people.
Here we go. This is Morella on Spinazzi. Very, very nice move in the Audi. The only Audi in the field? No, that's a lie. So we got Piper. Ben Piper? Never know if I'm right. And we are back on. We are showing a replay.
All good. We are going.
We are experiencing technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen, if you can hear me. And it looks like we're having a bit of a replay of the start of the race to see what happened there, and you can see what happens there to Ali Kairudan at the beginning of the race. I'm going to be slightly delayed at the moment. Please excuse me. Slightly delayed with what we're seeing on screen. Seeing everyone running through maggots and beckets. I'll try and talk ahead. So they're all halfway down the Hangar Straight right now, coming towards Stowe. How close am I?
we
Actually,
go.
that was pretty good.
Yeah, that's really good. Wait, just
All right.
entering stay here on the replay now. So
Here's our technical difficulties. We had yeah. Well, now we're back. We are back online and good as gold. Nothing stopped for the stream audience, only for us here in the in the comms booth. So I'll stop talking about it and we will move forward. That is the Audi of Morella, who, as we established, is not the only Audi on the track today. Ben Piper back in P17 at the moment, chasing down Callum Gibbons. Shout out to Jan Tully in the chat.
yeah, great to see people with some fans and family and friends coming along to support them. That's what we love to see here. One big giant family in OR, and yeah, it's great to see. I love looking across and seeing chat and everyone saying hello to each other and that sort of thing. That's always exciting. It reminds me of real life motorsport where you would stand in the stands and you would be watching the race with the same people that you'd always be watching the race with of another category or something like that. It's quite good.
Absolutely. Now somebody's just said Perez not helping his position at Hungary with crashing in the first 5 minutes of practice one. We're missing practice one, did you hear?
Oh.
But we get to
F1.
be here. We get to be here watching the Simagic GT3 Cup. So but thank you for participating in the comments anyway. Please keep it up. Throw your questions our way and we'll try and answer them. Let's enjoy a good 50 minutes of racing.
Ooh, Dennis goes fastest again. So popping a 7-1 in. It's nice and quick. And the times are really quick. We're actually only halfway through the first stint as well, because we were finding it was right at the we've got a big drift here in the Mercedes. That's a little bit wide there, but good save. Hopefully didn't get a warning for that. Just as I was talking about, Dennis up the front there in the 77 Ferrari, setting the fastest time. And again, setting it quite early in the stint. Usually we expect them to be quite low on fuel when they start setting those fastest times, because you should have about 10 more minutes worth of fuel in it. Really depends. There won't be too much difference. So
Yeah, I think you'd normally start with a little bit more fuel. That would be my suspicion. Start with a bit more, and it's why I think we see some really fast times in that last stint, because a lot of them are pitting 15 minutes before the end and they know they only need exactly that amount of fuel, whereas they've probably got upwards of 30 minutes worth of fuel on board right now, I would suspect.
So Rating gets a penalty for being out of position. Gets a 10-second one. So
Oof.
unfortunately, so that means at the start wasn't in the right spot. Either wasn't hanging to their side or left too big a gap or something along those lines. Or accidentally started in front of someone when they shouldn't have. But
Yep.
yes, you've got to make sure that you're in your right. It's your responsibility to be behind the right car and
Yep,
the right
so-
distance away.
That's definitely rough. I mean, that's good enough to go back behind car 26. What's that? 17th position. So that's definitely a big hit right now to Terry Rayton from 8th to 17th provisionally with that 10 seconds. So he's got a big race ahead of him to try and claw that one back.
What is with the front runners and getting penalties? The Kai Rudin has just got a 10-second penalty for being out of position on the start as well. So we
Oof.
didn't have a jump start. We had a couple of cars being out of position.
That definitely stings, considering how lap one actually went for Ali Kairudan. So that's pretty rough. That's definitely not the start to the campaign that Ali wanted to have.
Yeah, Ali is literally reenacting Pip's run from before. I think getting caught up in a little incident, getting a penalty. Oh man, it's just all going wrong.
This is Ryan Houlihan on Corey Sweet here. So Sweet holding his line really nice there. Ryan going a little bit deep. So it looks like Ryan's got a bit of pace on him right now. So This is a really interesting battle. So the last laps were both 57.5s for the both of them. So no real difference, but they're definitely slogging it out. They're nearly 3 seconds behind the leader. So he's been able to really jump ahead from P2 as Strelnikov. So that's definitely helping him, this battle between Sweet and Houlihan.
As we've jumped back to the Rayton battle, and now a little bit further back into the pack, into the mix of things that are very Italian-looking. That very Italian-looking Lamborghini going very sideways as well, and getting a bad run onto the straight. Up the inside goes the Mercedes.
Didn't even try to defend it, did Rashuti? But is he going to try and hold it around the outside? Yes.
And then the inside. Yes, the old outside of this corner is the inside of the next one, although it doesn't get the exit here, so this will drive away. Nice driving by both drivers.
Yeah, very clean. A lot of side-by-side action that is really clean, and especially through some pretty tricky corners. So we've seen that a few times now this race. It's some really, really clean driving that we've seen from everybody out there. Oh, there's another battle back there for, this is Powell and Fleming, I believe. Is it three of them?
Yeah,
Fleming,
so
Powell, and Stenberg ahead. So Fleming and Powell battling it out together, and
Fleming seems to be really quick through there. Wow. The gap in front has halved, and he's left behind Powell. That was very, very quick. Maybe running a bit more downforce or something like that. That was extremely quick through the Maggots and Beckett's, or just really got a nice line through there. So
Fleming, having a look at
the big moment.
I mean, he was 2 seconds faster on the last lap, but I don't think that's representative. I think maybe the other two were battling. So Fleming's just coming through, though. So he's definitely got some legs on him in that Ferrari number 20.
Yeah. Hopefully, again, not getting himself too many penalties, but zooming off the track like they did there. That was very, very wide, although they've started to drop back a little bit again. So fast in some parts of the track, but a little bit slower in others. Oh, wow. Look at the down the track. He's just sending it. Sends the bomb.
Always a rough one. I mean, he's going to get the slipstream up the straight, but he didn't get as good a run onto the straight, so I don't think it's going to come of anything. Not when you're up against a Mercedes. So Stenberg will hold on for now, well, despite the 5-second penalty, of course. But Stenberg in front on track. Oh, wide from Stenberg. This is going to open up an opportunity when we come down into Cops. So there's going to be a better run for car number 20 coming down the front straight. So here we go. This is potentially going to be a dive into Cops. I mean, we saw him make a dive earlier. I would be very surprised if he didn't want to do it here as well. Oh, he's not. He doesn't even gain. He didn't even gain under.
I was going to say, I think there's that Mercedes is very quick in a straight line, and actually the Ferrari making a little mistake on the exit and getting swooped by the McLaren. Oh, big screen.
And he tries to hold it, but he's almost off the track. Is Fleming. So Fleming loses all the ground he made. And suddenly he's now behind again. So now he's going to chase down Powell before he can even have another go at Stenberg.
Wow,
looks like someone's in the pits too. We got Morella in the pits.
That's right. So we're starting to see some of the first pits coming out as we're getting very close to that 20-minute mark. Some people obviously saying, you know what? Oh, man, the Ferrari is just... Fleming is just pushing this Ferrari to the limit. Oh, he's gone wide again. Yeah, I'd say slightly overdriving it, or his tire pressures have gone a bit high.
I mean, in my opinion, it's time to pit. You're nearly 20 minutes in. If you're faster, and especially if you've burnt out your tires a bit, get on in there. Get in the pits. Get in early and overtake them. Especially, it looks like he's potentially got the legs to go a bit further up. So I won't be surprised at all if we see him in the pits this lap.
Yeah.
This is our battle towards the front. Herbert v. Sang. A little bit of backside wiggling from Sang in front in the BMW.
Yes, they're both zooming on to complete yet another lap. We'll get the lap times as they cross. 8:51 58.3s
For both of them. Yeah, that's right. So very, very nice driving from these guys at the moment. Houlihan, so Ryan Houlihan in the pits. Ryan Houlihan was having a really close battle with Sweet. He has now dived into the pits, see if an undercut can work. Although, having a look at what we saw before, it's not necessarily the undercut that works. So the overcut has done really good for a couple of drivers. So we'll see what happens there between him and Sweet. He was stuck behind in 3rd position. So I suspect we'll see Sweet come into the pit soon. All eyes right now, the battle for effective P4. Oh, he tries it around the outside, makes the 33 run deep, which means he's going to get a great run onto not the home straight, the F1 home straight. Car 45 coming. They're so close. Is he close enough to get up the inside? He's not going to try it by the looks of it.
Wow, that was tight. So, as you were saying with the undercut, so the reason the undercut doesn't work as well is because, unlike the Formula 1 cars, these guys don't have tire blankets, so they're cold when you leave the pits and you take a lap or two to warm them up. So you're actually slower when you first hit the track for a lap or two, but once the tires get warm, then you're a bit more pacey. So if you can undercut if you do 2 to 3 to 4 laps before everyone else, but that first lap out is quite a bit slower than someone who is on a low tank of fuel and running towards the end of their stint.
That's a really good explanation for it. I don't think it used to be that way. Back in 1.7, it wasn't nearly as bad for it. You used to come out pretty fresh and you could gun it straight away. But yeah, it looks like everybody from the top runners, apart from Sang and Cook, are into the pits. So we will see what happens. So we'll see where Houlihan comes out in relation to Sweet. That's probably the closest battle up the furthest that we are watching closely. We're on board right now with Rayton. It looks like that penalty was cleared. There was a penalty next to the 85 car's name that was just cleared. So whether that was put on there by mistake, I don't know. But it's not there anymore. So congratulations, Terry Rayton.
3/4 of the top 10 is in the pits. So everyone pitting right on that 20-minute mark. Chris Tang, is the only one that was right up the front that hasn't pitted yet.
Yep.
Wonder if they'll had a bit of extra fuel to try and squeak ahead.
Yeah, and we're having a look for the 999 on the map to see, and I believe that's them coming along. That's right, 999 ahead of car 32. So the position has changed between Houlihan and Sweet. Houlihan has jumped it on track. That's not the battle we're watching right now. This is not it. This is Powell v Stenberg. But that is now a position change for P2. It is Houlihan just ahead of Corey Sweet.
No.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah,
it is.
right.
Yeah,
Right, yep.
I'm right. I'm watching. Oh no. Excellent. Oh, okay, great. We're just responding to a ghost, so nobody can hear that we're getting spoken to and we're replying.
No.
So,
Pinball numbers are F. No.
what was that, Malik? No, we will do no such thing to you.
Oh.
That's disgusting. He can't defend himself.
Well, I'm not actually muted at all, mate. I tricked you. So you look like a...
Now I just look like an idiot.
Yeah. Put your
All
toys
right.
back.
So we have. What are we looking at? We are looking.
So many battles.
Who are we looking at?
There's battles everywhere, and Bella can't find someone to pick. So what I'll say is that the last couple of people that needed to pit that were right in the racing are all doing their pit stops now. So we will, in a lap or two, have a normal racing order, I'd say.
Yes. Now it looks like Fleming did jump Stenberg? ? Fleming was chasing them down, had a couple of moments. Lost the position to Stenberg, and I can't even remember now. It's the green Ferrari.
Stenberg's still in the pits, so we don't know yet.
All right. But it looked like on track. You know what? It's just the timing. It's just the timing. It looks like
Yes.
Fleming hasn't come into pits. Fleming was ahead on track before Stenberg came into the pits, so he had clearly caught up by that point. So I reckon since he stayed out, we might see Fleming stay ahead of that group. Terry Rayton has got a penalty, unfortunately, 10 seconds for causing a collision on lap 2, unfortunately. So that wasn't that little, the side-by-side tap that we saw, the little half spin from those two cars.
Not
I don't think it was
sure.
that
I don't think it
battle.
was that one,
I don't
no.
think it was them.
Yeah, that's a separate.
Alright.
That's a separate one. The 10-second.
Yep.
There was something on lap
Yeah.
1 that they accidentally added. They fixed that, and there was a
And
second
we
one
used
to add
that, yeah.
anyway. So
Okay,
Yeah,
no worries.
so just
All
like
right,
this,
so
yeah.
naughty boy Terry Rayton, but he is taking it in his stride. He's done one pit stop. He's still got the 10 seconds against his name. He can choose to take it at the next stop or not, but he's currently sitting P14, so I reckon we'll see his name jumping up the timing sheet a little bit as well as we go on. So it looks like still about 7 cars in the top 10 haven't done their pit stop yet. So corrected order still hasn't come about yet as well. So let's wait and see. Oh, dipping toe onto the grass, that's always good to see. So we're currently riding on board with Herbert chasing Kale.
Yes, it's one of these extra close battles.
Oh, really tight. I think it was just an early braking from the car 52. So they're both pits, so the tire pressures, like the tires won't be dramatically different. I think it's just different cars
Just
have
that entry speed of
different.
that Ferrari. That's what it is. That Ferrari just seems to want to. Everyone who's driving them seems to be turning earlier and braking later. Like they take a narrow line and they go in so hard into the corners.
Got to be careful because, you know, I mean, I'm sure, you know, physics, of course. If you're 2/10 behind a car at speed on oh no, a big snap. He held it. What a hold from Herbert. That was, whoo,
Yep.
had
Hard
me
enough, isn't it?
sweating. Yeah, that's right. So 2/10 on a straight equals collision in braking zone. If you braked at the same time at the end of a straight and you were 2/10 behind, the two cars at slower speed, 2/10 is an overlap. So there you go. There's some that's some physics knowledge for you. So that's why you actually need to, when you're behind a car, you need to be braking that little bit earlier, especially if you've got a car that goes in deep like the Ferrari clearly is. So yeah.
We're on board with Morella, right behind Real. Is that right? Is that
I think
Real?
we've been watching
Yeah.
this. I feel like we've been watching this battle for a little while. I feel like Morella and Real, someone was battling. Oh, no, it was Kai Rudin was battling Real heavily earlier. So I eat my words there. Kai Rudin has clearly served that penalty that we saw in the pits, and he's currently back in 18th position provisionally. I think there's still like three people left to pit. So that will be roughly P15. So, but no penalties from there on in. He's still got a pit stop to go. So I imagine we'll see Kai Rudin jumping up the charts a little bit as well.
Yeah, and it's really fun to sit on board and really watch the drivers driving. I pointed this out to my co-commentator last season. If you pay attention, you can actually see the feet.
Oh, sorry.
Don't mind.
Sorry, man. We've got a
Yeah,
car
don't mind.
spinning around.
We
We'll
do
come
too.
back.
Oh.
Was that a collision? I feel like we
Maybe.
cut away because it was like, oh no, we're
No,
watching the
it's
replay.
Just released. Yep. Oh, very slow.
It looked like it
spin.
was being censored. Oh, it's so
Oh.
close.
Yeah.
we did it
Oh, we've
again.
got cars just avoiding like crazy now. Yep.
No, honestly, probably good too. So, and good work on the Porsche for holding its brakes. Was that Spinazzi? Yeah, this is live now. So Spinazzi was the one who did a Spinazzi and off the track. But he did do a very clean re-entry. That's what we love to see. We love to see people holding their brakes. Well, we don't love to see people crashing. I mean, I guess some people probably do. But that's not why we're here. We want to see some good close racing, and that's exactly what we're getting right now. This is Piper and... Is this Piper and Gibbo, is it? Is it Piper and Gibbo? Yes. Piper behind. Callum Gibbons in front in that Ferrari.
Yeah, and this is again a couple of car gap. But what I'm noticing is, yeah, the Ferraris are just so strong in particular parts. The gaps that even though there's 2 or 3 car lengths between them, they're actually very, very close. If that makes sense, like they'll be right on them for half the lap and then right off them again and then right back on them again. So a bit of that rubber banding effect happens there. So I think Houlihan's just starting to pull in Dennis at the front there. Only just. Fleming is still out without stopping yet. Going for the extra long first stint. It's been 29 minutes and still going around.
Well, clearly he thought he had the pace. I mean, that's what we were saying. We thought he had really good pace going. I can have a look and see what his times have been like. So he's been setting solid low 59s this whole time. So definitely got some good pace there. Though he clearly wanted to stay out longer and see if he could overcut some people. He's now got a whole pit stop to do with only 30 laps to go, so he's going to have fresh tyres the rest of the race too. Yeah. That's potentially a really good move. Now, you mentioned that the gap is closing. Houlihan to Strilnikov. Hang on, am I getting this right? No, it's Strilnikov, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
My page is gone. So
excellent. No, that is the correct one. So. Now the gap 3.7 seconds there. We've done about 14 laps so far. We're halfway through. Let's say there's about 14 laps to go. So it's 3.7 seconds divided by 14. What's the answer, Justin? No, don't worry, you don't need to tell me. It's I'm kidding. It's 0.3 of a second. So that means that in order to catch him Strelnikov by the end of the race, Houlihan would need to be doing about 0.3 better per lap in order to catch and overtake him by the end of the race. It's about 2.5 tenths actually. He did 3 tenths quicker on the last lap. So it is absolutely not over for P1 in this race.
It's
over. As I say that, that was really good timing, Dennis.
Yeah.
Cursed.
Yeah.
I cursed Ryan? Yeah, sorry, Ryan.
No, but Ryan's still within 5 tenths that lap. Yeah. And pit stop is a big thing, spanner in the works. Again,
it absolutely is.
And I think Ryan pitted quite a bit later, right? So, earlier. Ryan pitted earlier.
He did pit earlier. He pit only 1 lap earlier. So Ryan did a 104 stop. So Ryan gained about a couple tenths at that stop. So no significant gain, but as we've seen before, there is gain to be had. So Corey Sweet, for example, did a 107, 1 minute 7 long stop. So basically 3 seconds slower than the 2 cars ahead of him. So there is actually quite a lot of time to be gained and lost in the pits. As we've got, this is how Visceral Esports runner Regan Herbert having a go at Kale for 5th position. So that team is definitely having a good night. So we'll keep an eye on that one.
I was going to say Kale's actually moved up quite a few positions. I believe qualified P9 if I remember correctly.
I can have a look.
I think it was.
Yep.
They were
P9.
definitely a bit further back.
Yep.
Yeah, P9. So yeah, up 4 positions. Again, in a tightly packed field like this, getting 4 or 5 positions is actually quite a big jump forward because you've had to go through them, and we're only halfway through the race. So potentially looking to get a few more. Oh, is the Ferrari's having a look up using its braking advantage, and it touches.
No.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's gonna wait to get back on track, see if he can do it nice and safely, which he does.
Perfect.
So that was quite a lot
yeah.
of positions lost for him, unfortunately. So this is Rayton in the 85 Laundry House Racing. I do like the Laundry House Racing livery is nice. That graffiti style thing. It's It's
With Rust, it's great. It's such a different take on a livery.
Yeah. It's like if
Yeah.
a homeless person owned a $1 million car.
Well, that ain't worth $1 million.
Here we go. This battle's still going on. Morella v Real for the final spot in the top 10. So Morella has been on. Oh, it's Real goes off. That's going to be Morella getting a run down the straight. So is Morella going to defend? He is. The Audi's going to try his luck around the outside into Stowe. Here we go.
Oh, don't.
Audi holds it tight. Morella keeps it clean. Unfortunately, not fast enough for the Audi. So even though the car was well off the track, the Audi still has not gained the advantage there. But those tires are not going to be feeling pretty right now for Real. So we'll see whether Morella can capitalize and finally get the position he's been chasing the last 5 laps.
Yeah, that again, Morella just can't find a break to get past Real. Real even handing an opportunity, but then defending perfectly, and kind of just almost having to pass straight back instantly. It was a defend and a pass at the same time, sort of thing, like putting himself on the inside there.
Yeah, it was definitely good moving from him. He moved pretty late. I actually wasn't sure if he was going to defend at all.
Yeah, I think he was like, oh, which side are you going to go? No, I better defend, and made up his own mind.
Definitely a better line is to be on the inside there. It's a very it's a hard move to pull off because you've got to count on multiple corners worth of success. You sort of can't complete an outside overtake very successfully. At stowing these cars, you kind of need to be you need to just get a slight overlap so you've got the inside for that next corner. More likely. Is Rayton still on the charge? So remember they've got that 10-second penalty, but he is nonetheless very, very quick. So he is going to do what Herbert was unable to do only a few laps ago before he had that little spin. He gets alongside. I think KO's not going to fight it because he knows that Rayton's got the 10-second penalty. Why slow yourself up and put you back into the clutches of Cook when you don't need to?
Smart.
In fact, he's probably hoping that Rayton stops defending.
Yeah, that's very smart there by Cook. Well, Kale, sorry. Kale's, yeah, again, doing really, really well. Probably one of the people that have made the most out of this first half of the race, moving up quite a few positions. And then just going to look to try and do some nice times here till the next pit stop, because we're getting close to the last pit stop for most drivers now.
Yeah, Rayton's a gun, so it's not a bad move to sit behind, stay in the slipstream, capitalize on some of that speed. I mean, Kale's definitely no slouch. He's been setting some particularly fast times himself, of course, as well. It looks like the edge has been on Rayton, though, overall, who's been doing some very, very quick laps. Yeah, it's definitely not a bad move at all to be moving aside and letting Rayton in front.
We're catching up on some lap traffic here. Interesting. So hopefully the lap traffic can get out of the way. Here's our longest stint runner, Fleming.
Oh, that's right. So freshest tires of everyone in the field. Currently P21. I'm surprised he's so far down. I wonder what's happened to him. It seems like
he was in P20 when we were looking at him. Actually, he was battling.
Okay.
Actually, he's ended up exactly where he was, because if I remember right, he was battling the Mercedes here.
He was behind Stenberg.
Yes.
So Stenberg is now behind him. So he was battling Stenberg, and there was someone else in the mix that I can't quite remember. That's okay. And he unfortunately, ended up having a little.
I think it was Powell.
Yeah, it was definitely. I recall it being McLaren. Not important. Here we go. Excellent picture, Dennis Stronikov.
Yeah, the footage. Oh, very good. So, that's our current leader at the moment, Dennis.
Oh, as the 47 goes for... Oh, he's got a drive-through penalty.
Oh,
as
no.
it goes off. So
That is very rough. Does that get converted, or is it still a true drive-through?
Still a true drive-through. If it's track limits,
Oof.
track limit.
Unfortunately for
That's our first one of the
Stenberg.
night.
you cop that one.
Yeah, and that was a mistake too. That wasn't, he didn't gain an advantage there at all. Just flew off the track too fast, went through a delta too quickly. So unfortunately, there cops the penalty.
And
That's gonna be
Fleming
way.
now on the back of Baketold. Sorry, in the foreground, big battle going on by the looks of it. He was nice and close there. So there we are. So definitely making his way up the field.
Yeah, and I'm again, I'm surprised Kyriden's still in P13. I mean, I guess he was P18, so he has been coming back through the field. It's just so competitive through the middle here. Everyone's about a second away from each other, or so, right through the middle. Again, a few people just doing some pit stops now too. Kyrieden actually jumping in, Gibbs jumping in.
Gibbo in the pits, Kyruden in the pits. Look, it's probably not long before we see a huge bunch of people jumping into the pits, so there might not be a lot of undercut time. I'm actually surprised we didn't see Kyruden in maybe a little bit sooner to try and get 4 or 5 laps in and capitalize a little bit more. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes for him.
And, again, Fleming just showing us how to do maggots and Becky's nice and quickly. Hubert getting a 10-second penalty for collision on lap 16.
Oh, that's rough. Yep, Herbert. That is definitely rough. Having a good race. He's just having a bit of hard luck there.
Got lights on at the front for Dennis here. Chasing, coming through the traffic. It's cool to see. Oh, I always like it. It makes me feel like we're in real race cars when you catch up to lap traffic and the lights go on. It's like, I'm coming through, get out of the way sort of thing.
And this is much more realistic in the sense that, lap traffic they're not ghosted. It's not like Formula One games. It's, this is, much more of a sim. And yeah, they are not ghosted, and they absolutely can spoil the party. For you, if you come into collisions as they peel into the pits out of the way.
Yeah, no,
and
nice
Taylor is free.
Yeah, it wasn't holding up Taylor there at all.
You know who did jump into the pits a couple laps before everybody else, so who's gotten up to speed already? Kale has. So Kale is already out of the pits. He's his first place of those who have pits so far. So he is now chugging along nicely. So we'll have a look to see who was he battling with. We saw him battling not long ago. I think it was with was it with Herbert? No, it was with he let Rayton in front. So Rayton is in the pits. He has served that penalty. So where Rayton comes out will be his actual position to fight from. It looks like Sweet's coming out from the pits as well. So 32, which has come out ahead of car 196, which is a backmucker. So I'm not sure which position that is. We'll wait for the board to reset here. At the moment, we're having a look at the battle between Kugali and Taylor.
Yeah, and our top three are all running it quite a bit longer than everyone else. At least one more lap than everyone else. Looks like we'll see in a second if Dennis is going to throw it in the pits, and if Ryan's going to follow. They caught that traffic. Yeah, Dennis is in the pits. There we go. So our leader of the race says
Risky move going in first.
Yeah. Oh, I know, but Houlihan's following. So, yeah, 6 seconds is the gap as they hit that pit line. Let's see if any gains happen in the pit. And Cook goes in. And Chris Zhang is still going really deep on this.
And
Yeah.
there's a couple of competitive runners up in the field yet to pit, so we'll see where everyone winds up after the pit stops. Corey Sweet, current fastest of those who've pit. 4 seconds behind him, I think. No, 7 seconds behind him is Kale. Rayton another 8 seconds behind that. So nice and spread out there. I think the closest battles are further back, not quite at the front, but we will see when everyone comes out of the pits. All right, so we've completed the pit stops for Houlihan, who did he actually, oh, you know what? They both did slow stops. So Houlihan actually could have gained up to 4 seconds on Dennis, but he actually did a 2 second slow stop himself. So he gained about 1.5 seconds overall. Houlihan gained in the pits. So he'll still end up behind, but it shouldn't be too far behind unless he had a poor entry or exit, which my calculations don't take into account anything beyond the pit lines.
Okay, and yeah, we've jumped back to Yang here, fighting for P25 at least. A couple of tenths of difference here. Make that 5 tenths. They go through turn 1. Little left, jab of the gas, back fully on. Nice and clean through turn 1. We might get some Beckett's now. Very quick in the Ferrari here. Little car moving around underneath. Oh, a bit of opposite lock as well. But again, just really pushing the car hard here. Even showing just how hard, even all the way back down in 26th position, the guys and girls are pushing down there.
Oh, they're definitely not slow drivers at any point in this split. As we mentioned earlier, everybody had to qualify for this series, and not everybody made it into this series. So it wasn't just a come one, come all. It was you better qualify or you'll be out. So this is some of the best sim races around. So these are definitely, even at the back of the pack, these guys are no slouch. It's Callum Gibbons in 21st position. Callum Gibbons is bloody fast driver. That is, if you've got Gibbons in 21st position, Kai Rudin in 19th, Rashudi in 17th, that alone tells you you've got a very fast field.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, Fleming's just got a drive-through.
No!
A few of those excursions of those big moments where you saw him going sideways, one too many of those, and we've got a drive-through penalty. So our first, this split, having a couple of drivers have drive-through penalties. They'll have 3 laps to serve those, or else they'll be DQ'd. So he better find his way to a pit soon, unfortunately. He was doing a very alternate strategy as well. He still hasn't taken his second stop, so he's going to have to go 2 more drive-throughs. Oh, you got a drive-through, change his tyres, and a drive-through himself. So that's a bit disappointing as we are on board with Kale in the Lamborghini chasing down Cook in the Porsche.
Yeah, Kale did he's doing low 58, so he's doing some very quick times right now. And so he's right behind Cook, who's on cold tyres. He only just came out of the pits on this lap that we're on right now. So they've been getting warm now. Is it towards the end of the lap? But he's definitely much slower in those sector times to Kale. So we'll see if how that goes for him over the next lap or so. So Kale pit 4 laps ago, keep in mind. So his tires are now worn in, but you're going to have now some fresh rubber laps from Brad Cook. It's always the sort of the first, it's this sort of the second and third lap after you exit the pits that are your fastest possible laps, as we know from qualifying. So we'll see if Kale can hold his position over this next little stint, but he might be with a chance of gaining a couple more positions. So he's not far away from Cook or Sang.
Yeah, and we're having our last couple of drivers that are out of position because they haven't pitted yet. And man, this is Yeah, look at this. This is just. I'm trying to figure out, is there lap cars in the middle of this already? Yeah, all position, yeah. Yep, just out of the pit, so he was going a bit slower and less colder. Coming out with less speed out of turn 1. And
did you want a good battle for the end? Because I'm saying that we might have a good battle up for P2 actually, because Corey Sweet just did a lap that was half a second faster than Houlihan, who is in P2, and he is under a second. So there is a battle up front to be had. There's obviously a 4-way battle happening back here for what would be 12th position, but this is no, that'll be 13th position. So yeah, up ahead there will be a battle for us to look at very, very soon.
Yeah, man, this is a tight pack. There's what, 4 or 5 cars within a second. And everyone is looking racy in this group. Again, the one that's really out of position is Kyrudin in the Porsche at the back of the pack. Yeah, and Herbert, yeah. But again, Kyrudin qualifying P2, so definitely doesn't want to be this far back. Trying to recover, hoping for a top 10, I'd say, but I don't know if that's going to be possible with only 10 minutes left on the clock. Five full laps, really, maybe 6. Depending on where the leaders are, yeah, it's probably going to be right on about that 6 left. Man, you could throw a blanket over these cars, I think, and we wouldn't know who would come out on top.
Oh, Herbert very close to Taylor going into maggots, and Kyrudin knows that he can capitalize on any shaky lines from those in front, so Herbert needs to keep it clean. He was very close, riding the bumper of the car in front, so Kyrudin really giving it everything he's got at the moment as well. So these are the 2 out of position. Going for an outside move is Herbert. He's gone for the switchback, but that was really nice holding the line from Taylor. He parked it on the apex. It's really easy to go too deep there, leave the space on the inside, but that was really great defensive work. You don't see it because it's not very obvious, but to take an inside line and to hold it and maintain speed in the way that Taylor just did is a really impressive thing.
Yeah, and again, yeah, great defense, great attack. It's when you're this close, it's you make one small mistake and you're back a couple of positions. So both drivers driving right on the edge, just hitting that big sausage curb there, making the car unsettled. There is Herbert in the middle, and that didn't look pretty. That curb is not much fun to hit at all. Hey.
No, not at all. You definitely don't want to be hitting that. I think they all scraped it, but that's just how close they're fighting. They're searching for every inch of track that they can get. So Herbert, it does appear, has got some pace on Kugali. So Kugali is under a lot of pressure right now. Herbert trying to get a better run, but they're in the same machinery, so that's not always the easiest thing to do when that's the case. So Kyrudin is just waiting in the wings, waiting for something to happen. As soon as these two go side by side through a corner and lose all that speed, Kyrudin's going to jump. It's going to pounce.
That's wide. A little bit of a mistake there, but that's okay. Doesn't cost too much. Probably wasn't wide enough to get a warning. Well, that's a big bump. Had to lift off the gas.
Oh, it goes deep through Beckett's.
Yeah, totally different lines of it. It's up. Wow, using all the track and some. Probably just kissed the grass there on the exit.
See that wheel? See the wheel action? Just really fighting to keep control. So Herbert is pushing. So make no mistake, it is. This is not a cut and dry battle. So Taylor clearly knows how to defend well. And look, they're coming up on top of 2 cars up ahead as well. Not just Kugali now, but Who as well. Who? How?
Yeah,
I'm going to say Anlong. Ho. I'm going to say Ho. Which I actually think might be correct. So I actually don't think it'd be Who or How.
He's asked us to be called Anlong. So.
Oh, is that what he said?
Yeah.
Oh,
then
that is. Then ask and you shall receive. This is a good battle. Backmarker gets out of the way. That is very, very good, because this is an excellent battle happening here. Oh, the Mercedes gets a nice exit, and he's going to, the car to 67 is going to make the move happen on the Lamborghini. So Anlong trying to fight it, but no, that is Cougarly up a position. Anlong's going to try and dive up the inside, and he might just have it to his force the Mercedes to go wide, but they're going to have the inside line, but it is a compromised line. He's going to try a Hamilton and go around the outside of the Mercedes, but this has actually opened up the door for another car to come up the inside, and Anlong is going to lose another position to car number 17. Taylor is looking to get himself a car in between himself and Herbert. He was under pressure from Herbert, but it looks like Anlong might even hold it through cops as they go side by side. Herbert's wondering, where can I go to get through these guys? Don't go through the middle. That's not going to end well. Looks like Anlong might just hold on to this. The Nuggets come together. Unfortunately, that is Taylor and it's Herbert who have come together. So that is absolutely horrible for both of them. They had excellent pace and were having an epic battle. Yeah, absolutely could, but that was great racing.
I didn't
Up to them.
think that, I just don't think he realized he'd snuck up, had someone extra sneak up the inside and thought he'd back out. Came across on the race line and there was a nose there. So
It's so hard when you're fighting like that, right? When there's a car in front, you're fighting and you're trying to figure out your own line. And I mean, it's always the way, right? Because the car behind doesn't know. I always think about that first turn at Coda in F1. It was when Sainz got spun. Basically, he's tried to do an undercut, but the car behind doesn't know you're going to try an undercut, and they break at their normal time and hit you. So it's always the worst when you've got three-way battle, but you know you can't always be looking at two places at once.
Yeah, it's a little bit hard. So here's the replay.
Yeah, take us through it.
Very, very even, very, very fair here. Again, the thing is, he is a little bit in the blind spot there too. Like, he's not in a mirror, so it's gonna be hard to call there. It's not like anyone really, there was no nose to tail action. It was side of car on side on car, but it wasn't much of an overlap. Both drivers could have left some room. I'm just gonna sit on the fence there and say I'll leave that up to the stewards.
I'll put in a position. I think that Herbert did. I think Herbert was all right. I don't think he did anything wrong there. That's obviously going to be up to the stewards to take a look at. But unfortunately, I think that I don't think Herbert didn't take a wrong line. Unfortunately, just in trying to back out of a move in front, the other car has been the one to come a cropper, is what it looked like to me at least. So unfortunately, but hard racing, good racing. They had a really good battle leading up to that, so props to them. Obviously not coming together, but for the rest of it, we move forward. This is only one round of many, so there's still many more rounds to go. So get back in the cockpit, get back on track, and let's enjoy some racing. Let's have a look at what's happening further up the field. I think we're having a look at Strelnikov. So it's about time he got some airtime. He's 8 seconds ahead of his nearest competitor, having a lonely race. This is...
Yeah, and Houlihan's coming in second, doing a very good job, moving up a couple of positions. We did actually have Yang get a 15-second penalty for a collision as well, all the way down there in 21st position.
Oof,
again,
rough.
He's back on Denis Strelnikov, who we saw his driver card before, and he's just rounding up some lap traffic and driving very clean and very smooth, sitting with the fastest lap of the race as well. So, as I say that, he drops 2 wheels on the dirt, but again, probably just trying to keep the pace up.
Now it looks like we are on our penultimate lap, so we do have a close-ish battle for second position, but Corey Sweet's going to have to pull something pretty mega out of the bag if he wants to catch up in only a lap's time, a second away. So if Houlihan keeps it clean, he might just have that one in the bag. This is Kai Rudin, who did start P2 in the race, but he's currently in 14th. He's having a go at Anlong as well. So Anlon can't catch a break at the moment. He's getting attacked left, front, and center. But here comes the next one. It's the Porsche Kairuden. Look how close they are.
Yeah, this is Kairuden just applying the blowtorch to the back of the car.
A lot of pressure there. Is he going to defend Anlon? And where's Kairuden going? To the outside. So what happens here? Does Anlon go deep? He doesn't. Oh, he goes a little bit deep. We've got definitely a better run here from the Porsche. So is Anlon going to stay there and defend?
It's going to be sent.
Yep.
Oh, but the block
On the outside. Here we go. Anlon goes too deep, so we got a cut back from the Porsche. He's going to try the longest way around, and he does it too.
That's beautiful. Kairuden just telegraphed him there. Said, "You go this way, now I'm going that way." Oh, we've got a repeat.
Right, exactly, almost the same thing. That's Herbert fighting with. Is that Piper? I think that was Herbert getting the move done on Piper. Yeah. So normally I think that one's a normally that would be like a switchback where Kairuden was, but clearly he had he pushed him so deep, he pushed Anlon so deep that he actually managed to do it fully around the outside, which is an impressive move.
Our leaders are starting the last lap now, 29 laps. We're going to finish on lap 30. Very good. Fight everyone out the front. These guys have been very clean. Sweet is kind of there in the background, but probably not close enough to pressure Hullan. Hullan's a very level-headed customer, although he does have a couple lap traffic cars coming, so you never know. But all lap traffic's been pretty clean tonight.
Yeah, it's actually overall, I mean, both of these splits have honestly been very, very professional in the way they've conducted themselves. Of course, there's always a couple of little incidents, but nothing that you would call, people being overly aggressive or too, they're being silly with it. These are excellent drivers. They are the absolute class of sim racing, and it's actually a complete pleasure to watch such a group of talented drivers like this, all giving it their all.
Yeah, and again, we've got another. Oh, we've got the my box keeps graying itself out. So the Anlong and Kairuden battle happening still.
Yep, trying to see if he can get the position back, but we are going to cut to Denis Strelnikov, who's coming around the final corner. This is round one of the Simagic GT3 Cup for Octane Online Racing. Denis Strelnikov has completely dominated. He got pole position. He's going to win the race. Car number 77 for Crazy File Racing. He absolutely deserves it. It was flawless from him. Ryan Houlihan is going to come home just in front of Corey Sweet, only a second behind. So that is an excellent podium position for those guys. Seng put in an excellent race. He has actually done really well and brought himself up second in the international division, fourth on track. Cook has done a great one too, and Kale. What position did we say Kale started in?
P9.
P9. So he's made his way up 3 positions. Terry Rayton, even with that penalty, has managed to come back in P7. Spinazzi in P8. That is great. Morella in P9, and Real is going to come home in the Bonsoi Ferrari. No, the Bonsoi McLaren for P10. So. What a great one. Kairuden, we know, started on the front of the grid, finished in P13. So he started P2, finished P13. He had a bit of a rough one there. What a great race.
There was action everywhere. There wasn't much downtime at all this split. Again, Group B putting on a bit of a show. We had dramas all the way through. Lots of close racing. It's had a bit of drifting I'm seeing from the Porsche there. A bit of fun. Bechtold.
Well, he hasn't finished yet.
Yeah.
Coming across the line for P19.
Very good. And with the penalties, will he drop back at all? Possibly 15 seconds. We'll lose 1 spot to Lewis here.
Yeah, so we've got our last people coming across the line. We've got Fleming is in the pits. According to the timing, hasn't even finished. Whether that's correct, same with Taylor. Unfortunately, back in P30. That's Taylor, who we saw, unfortunately, coming together with Herbert. Taylor and Herbert was the. I think that was the collision we saw.
Yeah, it was another car
Yep.
on the track. That's the one.
Yeah. So, oof. Well, that is a great night of racing. Thank you everyone in chat for joining us. Somebody asked, "Is chat alive?" And you know what? It's been alive enough. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. It's a pleasure having you here. This is round 1, so make sure you come back. Tell some other people to come join us as well. This is a big one. The SimRigs Sprint Series. So shout out to SimRigs, the sponsor for the GT3. Sorry, not SimRigs. Sorry, apologies. The Simagic GT3 Cup. Now I'm all over the place. It's getting late. Oof. SimRigs are great too. They always deserve a shout out.
Simrig sells Simagic.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Go to SimRigs and buy a Simagic.
So the GT3 Cup. Remember, this is the first series on ACC through Motorsport Australia. So this is an excellent one to come and watch. Come and be a part of it. You've got 4 of these knockout rounds to kick off before finals begin. Race 2 of the night. Denis Strelnikov, P1, Ryan Houlihan, and Corey Sweet make up the podium. Sang, Cook, Kale, Rayton, Spinazzi, Morella, and Real are the rest of your top 10. Then you've got your international division. Strelnikov first, Sang in P2, and how do I say it again?
And long.
And Long.
No.
And Long to finish off the podium there. It's been a great night. Thanks for joining me, Justin.
Alright.
So, Justin Tate in the comms. I'm Samwise Holmes. Neil Alexander has been here in the background as well. You may have heard him. You may not have. But he's been running everything you've seen all night. So, big thanks to everyone.
Thanks, Samwise.
And,
Thanks,
yeah.
Justin.
Thank you,
No
everyone.
worries. Have a good night.
Next week, we're off to the Hungaro Ring, I believe.
Exciting.
For a different
Second
format as well.
round. I'm excited. Can you tell?
Mate, you're always
Oh, yeah.
excited.
I
Always.
try.
Now go have a
I did
sleep.
try.
Put you back in the cupboard now. Change your batteries.
Yeah, that's right. Bring me back out next Friday night. Yeah.
Dust you off.
Recharge.
Thanks, team. To see you next week. Thanks, chat.